and gentlemen, you're watching, yes, the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
Kind of an overcast day here in Florida, but it looks like the rain will hold off till later, and we will have baseball. As today on Yes, it'll be the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles. And New York Yankees baseball is presented by Fios. Hi, everybody. Ken Singleton along with David Cohn this afternoon. Kind of a quick turnaround for the Yankees last night. A ball game at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa against the Rays, and once again a division rival. Today, they're playing the Baltimore Orioles here in Sarasota at Ed Smith Stadium. And Coney, last night CC Sabathia had a pretty good outing. Today, it's going to be Ivan Nova getting his shot at the fifth spot in the rotation.
Yes, well, it's nice to have competition, I'll tell you that. I mean, it's better than being short, and I guarantee you they're going to need Ivan Nova this year, whether it's as a starter or in the bullpen or filling in. Rarely does a major league team go through 5 starters for the entire season. In fact, it almost never happens. So I think you're going to see Ivan Nova in a variety of roles this year. Obviously still in contention for the 5th starter competition. CC Sabathia, as Kenny said, had a good night last night. Ivan Nova, a stiff test today against probably the A Orioles lineup.
Well, the A Orioles lineup is in there, including Manny Machado, one of the 5 best players in the American League in my estimation. Machado will be leading off for the Orioles against the Yankees today here at Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota, Florida. Yankees and baseball coming up next right here on Yes. Is brought to you in part by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers. Visit CadillacTristate.com for exceptional offers. By Verizon, leave slow internet behind. Get Fios. By Mazda, at every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. And by the Dodge Spring Clearance event going on now. Well, I would say temperatures here in Sarasota somewhere in the mid-70s, kind of humid. There's rain in the forecast, but looks like that'll be later on this afternoon. Hopefully this game will be well over by then, as the Orioles and the Yankees are going to meet for the 4th time this spring. They're 1-1-1 so far this spring, and we'll check out the Yankees starting lineup that will be facing Chris Tillman. Leading off, Brett Gardner, he'll be in left field. Didi Gregorius will be at shortstop. Batting third to second baseman, Starlin Castro. The cleanup hitter today is Chase Headley. He'll be at third. Dustin Ackley will be at first base. Carlos Corporan will be behind the plate. Chris Parmelee will be the designated hitter for the Yankees. Chris Denorfia will be in right field. And batting ninth in center field, Cesar Coelho.
Good to see Brett Gardner ready to go. Trying to catch up on his at-bats, and he's going to be facing this guy, Chris Tillman, who's kind of been a mainstay for the Orioles in their rotation over the last 3 years. And you can see so far this spring, needs some more innings, only 5 2/3 innings, giving up a lot of hits. Kind of struggled with some injuries, also playing catch-up. And let's go ahead and give you the pitcher's scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. And open and shut, that is an open and shut case. Last year, he had a great opening day start and beat the Rays, and then he finished out the season with another great start. In between, a little sketchy. He ended up 11-11 on the year with a close to a 5 ERA. He's going to have to be better than that this year. And I am hip. Well, that is what he's been struggling with. I mean, that's not an old Tower of Power song, but it is an injury that he's kind of struggled with this year in that hip. That's why he only has 5 2/3 innings, but he's back on the mound today and ready to go. And he is a key rotation piece. As this Orioles team is built around offense, and they really need him to kind of lead that rotation and be a leader.
Let's check out the defense for the Baltimore Orioles. It's always been a strong defensive ball club for Buck Showalter. We start in the outfield. Kim in left, Jones at center, Trumbo right. Around the infield will be Machado, Hardy, Scope, Alvarez, and Joseph doing the catching for Chris Tillman. Just about ready to go. Brett Gardner steps in. Gardner 3 for 14. Remember, he had a bone bruise he was dealing with. Missed quite a few games early in spring training. And right away, you watch one thing about Tillman's delivery. Kind of a abbreviated windup. First pitch, a little high, maybe outside for ball one. We're underway here at Ed Smith Stadium. That's what Gardner has done so far this spring. Last year, hit 16 home runs for the Yankees and made the All-Star team. Next pitch, foul back to the screen, and it's a ball and a strike. I was speaking with hitting coach Alan Cockrell before the game, and he said if need be, they will send Gardner over to the minor league camp where he can lead off in several games, maybe get 7 or 8 at-bats in a game. Pitch is hit high in the air towards center field. Coming on is the Gold Glover, Adam Jones. He's there, makes the catch. 1 up and 1 down for the Yankees here in the first inning.
The shortstop, number 18, Didi Gregorius.
So Gardner's retired. And I'll bring up the number 2 hitter, Didi Gregorius, who's having himself a very good spring. 333. He's got a couple of doubles. 5 runs batted in. On base percentage, very impressive. Been on almost 40% of the time as you look at the 6'5" right-hander Chris Tillman on the mound. Fakes a bunt, takes a pitch low and inside for ball one that had Manny Machado charging from third base.
There's a lot of excitement in Yankees camp with regard to Gregorius following up last year's great campaign, especially the second half, and then of course Starlin Castro at second base, very dynamic up the middle for the Yankees.
As we pan the Orioles in their outfielder, you saw that Adam Jones plays very shallow. There's a call strike, and the count levels at 1-1 on Gregorius. One thing Joe Girardi has done this spring, Gregorius and Starlin Castro, they play together in every game. They travel on the road together so they can get used to each other as a DP combination. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 1-2. Of course, Castro is on deck. He's hitting third today.
What a great spring he's had. Ooh. Talk about good first impressions.
Mm-hmm. The 1-2 pitch, and it's in the dirt. Count levels at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, these two very solid defensively. Remember, Castro was a shortstop when he first came up with Chicago, so he's got a shortstop's arm while playing second base. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that'll do it for Gregorius. Tillman picks up a strikeout.
The second baseman, number 14, Starlin Castro.
Here is Castro, and here's what David was talking about, hitting .424, with a couple of home runs, 9 runs batted in, been on base 44% of the time. He's got a 6-game hitting streak going, and he's reached base safely in 8 consecutive games. So he's ready for the season to start. This is about time of spring training when you're ready to go. Let's play for real. Pitch hits the outside corner for a called strike. This is what he did as a shortstop and second baseman with the Chicago Cubs. Remember, the Cubs flipped him and Addison Russell. The young second baseman with the Cubs moved over to play shortstop, and it didn't seem to bother Castro at all. In fact, he came on at the end of the year. Foul tipped into the glove of Caleb Joseph, and it's 0-2.
It should be fairly easy nowadays with all the shifts defensively that most teams incorporate. The shortstops should be used to playing on the right side of the bag for the most part.
Yeah, but when you look with Castro up, it shows he hits the ball everywhere. The Orioles are not shifting with him at the plate. Pitch is fouled off to the right. The count holds at 0 balls and 2 strikes.
Castro's really a lot stronger than I thought. Very, very good bat speed. Much thicker and stronger than I remember with the Cubs.
I think he's 220 pounds, David. That's a pretty big second baseman. Broken bat roller to third. Machado has it. The strong throw across the diamond to Alvarez, and that'll do it for the Yankees. They go 1-2-3 here in the top half of the first inning. The Baltimore Orioles starting lineup. We're facing Ivan Nova this afternoon. Manny Machado will lead it off at third base. Pedro Alvarez will be at first, followed by Adam Jones, the center fielder. Chris Davis will be the DH. He'll clean up. Mark Trumbo will be in right field. J.J. Hardy at short. Hyun-Soo Kim will be in left field. Jonathan Scope will be at second and batting ninth. And doing the catching, Caleb Joseph.
Here's Ivan Nova on the spring. This will be his 5th outing. No record, 4.05, decent ERA. Big start here today, facing a tough opponent in an opposing park. And let's go ahead and give you the pitcher scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. An elbow room, well, that's exactly what it is. He's that much further removed from Tommy John surgery. It should be no concern. He's ready to go. More complete package. He's mixing in more pitches this spring in terms of his four-seamer, a little cutter. Brought back his slider, trying to become a 4-pitch pitcher again, and he will be needed either in the rotation or obviously out of the bullpen. But as I said before, I think the Yankees will go through probably 7 or 8 or 9 starters before the first half of the season is over, and that's been the average across the major leagues the last several years.
Here's the first pitch to Machado from Ivan Nova, and it is a little bit low for ball 1. Machado, couple of home runs, 10 runs batted in this spring. And that pitch is inside, ball 2. Machado, the only player in the major leagues last year to play in all 162 ball games. Bouncing ball towards short for Gregorius. He gloves it, he throws it, and there's 1 out here in the first. You saw Gregorius at short. Let's go around the rest of the Yankees defensively here. You got Gardner in left, Puelo in center, and Denorfia in right. Headley, Gregorius, Castro, and Ackley round out the infield for the Yankees, and Carlos Corcoran is doing the catching. Here's Pedro Alvarez, former Pittsburgh Pirate. He's only appeared in 6 games. The Orioles signed him late. He was a free agent over the winter. Orioles hope he adds some left-handed power as he swings at the first pitch and looks like it's going to be out of play. Strike 1 to Alvarez. He has driven in 7 runs in 6 games so far. And he does have a home run despite the low average. 2013 he was tied for the National League lead in home runs.
There you go. Shortstop's playing second base.
Ball hit on the ground, foul by first base coach Wayne Kirby. And it's 0-2 on Alvarez.
That's why we mentioned it before. I kind of said it in passing, but it really is true. Shortstops should be used to being on the right side of second base nowadays. And in fact, we saw Joe Madden put all four on the right side one game earlier this spring. The third baseman was playing over where the second baseman was. So yeah, I think you're going to see more and more, even more extreme shifts, rather.
When Joe was with the Rays, he was one of the first managers to employ the shift. The 1-2 pitch on the way to Alvarez, and he foul tips it into the glove of Corporate. It's a strikeout. Nova has his first strikeout, and they're 2 down for Baltimore here in the first inning.
Good action from Nova. You see right to the target. That's more of a slider. That's why we said Nova didn't really feature that last year when he first came back. That's almost from 2 or 3 years ago when Nova threw that hard slider, and there it is right there. So that gives him 2 different kinds of breaking balls, an overhand curve and a tight little slider there for a strikeout.
Number 3 hitter is Adam Jones. And he takes a breaking ball in there for a strike. Now, David, Nova's that much further removed from Tommy John surgery. How do you think he feels this year coming in?
He should be ready to go. I think when he first came back from Tommy John surgery, he was limited to 2 pitches, just the sinker and a curveball. And I think he's back to where he needs to be as a starter. You really need more than 2 pitches to be a starter. And you need a changeup, you need a couple of different kinds of fastballs, and a couple of different kinds of breaking balls.
Swing and looked like foul tipped into the glove, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Good moving fastball in on the hands of Adam Jones. Jones, a 5-time All-Star, squaring off against Ivan Nova here with 2 outs in the first inning and nobody on for Baltimore. Low and away, 2-2. Jones and Tillman, today started for the Orioles, came to Baltimore in the same deal. Eric Bedard, a few years back, went over to Seattle, and the Orioles got 4 players for him. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So a couple of strikeouts. An impressive start for Ivan Nova here in the bottom of the first. On to the second inning. There's no score.
I'm Joan London. When I needed to find senior care for my mom,
days away. On Monday, April 4th, the Yankees begin their regular season in the Bronx. And yes, has you covered all the excitement and pageantry from the stadium. Live on-site coverage begins with the Chevy pregame show at 11:30 a.m. Then watch the Bombers battle the Houston Astros. And it's all right here on Yes. Joe Girardi has the Yankees pointed in the right direction, looking for another season where they can make the playoffs. At this point, Just about everybody's pretty healthy. Chase Headley's going to lead it off for the Yankees here in the second against Chris Tillman. And Headley takes a pitch for a called strike.
Well, I think the Yankees should be optimistic. They have a very good team and some great additions.
Now back to the screen. So far, everybody's been fairly healthy, and I think that's the main thing getting out of spring training. It's not the same case for the Baltimore Orioles and Buck Showalter. He's dealing with some injuries. Matt Wieters, Kevin Gausman, who might have been his #1 starter, has already had a cortisone shot in his shoulder. Headley steps out. But talking to Buck before the game, he believes that Gausman's going to be ready to make his first start. Now, it won't be opening day, but he feels that he'll be able to pitch when needed. Hit on the ground to the right side, and a tough hop for Scope. He has it, throws the first, and there's one out here in the second inning. 2 second basemen today are pretty big, powerful guys. Scope at second for Baltimore, and Starlin Castro for the Yankees. These guys are well over 200 pounds, and they got a lot of power. Scope missed quite a few games last year, played in only 86 games and still hit 15 home runs. Here's Dustin Ackley, who draws the first base assignment today, and he takes a breaking ball a little bit high for ball 1. I think for Buck Showalter and the Orioles, it's all about their pitching. Their bullpen is pretty strong, but their starters have struggled this spring. Their team ERA is over 6. That pitch is in there for a call strike, and it's 1-1. They've been scoring a lot of runs, but they give up a lot of runs. And last year, for the first time in Orioles history, they did not record a complete game. That pitch is low for a ball, 2-1.
It's going to be some long games at Camden Yards this year.
First time in their history. You know, you think back to 1971 when they had the 420 game winners. They had 70 complete games that year. Times have changed in baseball. Ackley takes, and that one misses. 3 balls and a strike. And I'm talking to you, Coney. You had 56 complete games in your career. So you know what it's like to finish what you start.
Yeah, that is certainly something that has changed dramatically over the last decade.
The 3-1 pitch to Ackley, and he takes low ball 4. He draws a walk. He becomes the first base runner of the ball game. And there is the retired number of Hall of Famer Jim Palmer. The first year I played with him, he had 25 complete games that year. Yep, times have changed. Here's Carlos Corcoran, who's still in the mix for the backup catcher's job, the backup to Brian McCann. Now, Gary Sanchez was sent out to the minor leagues, so it looks like he's out of the running for now. But he's young, and he should be back in the Bronx sometime fairly soon. Swing and a miss, strike 1 to Corcoran. So Austin Romine and Corcoran are left to back up Brian McCann. And this decision will be made within the next 10 days.
Yeah, good job by the Yankee backup catchers, Austin Romine, to make this decision possible, to force their way into the pitcher. And, of course, Sanchez still a top prospect in baseball, and he'll play every day at AAA.
Fouled off the end of the bat, and it's 0-2. Now, one thing the Yankees did last year, they didn't have many problems with it. They only used 2 catchers the whole season. Brian McCann and John Ryan Murphy. Well, John Ryan Murphy was traded to Minnesota to get Aaron Hicks. But it shows you how solid the Yankees were in the catching department. It's almost like you said with pitching. You're going to need more than 5 starters. Usually you need more than 2 catchers, too. Pitch to Corcoran is in the dirt, scooped out by Joseph. And it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, the catching position in the Yankees organization over the last several years, one of their big strengths, even back to Francisco Cervelli, who brought in Justin Wilson, the hard-throwing lefty for last year's Yankees team.
Throw to first. Ackley's back. Meredith Marakovitz has more on the Yankee catching situation.
Well, Kenny, you mentioned Gary Sanchez being optioned yesterday, and it's funny because coming into camp, it seemed as though he was the favorite to get that job. But I think offensively, he struggled a little bit, just 1 for 21. And Brian Cashman told me during our rainfill a couple of days ago that he thought maybe he was pressing a little bit. So the idea is for him to go down there, get everyday playing time, get some more at bats. But as far as Austin Romine is concerned, he told me he is not approaching this any differently. Crazy things can happen the last week of the season. He doesn't believe that he's necessarily going to be the guy. He needs to continue to go out there and do business as he has all spring. And one thing with Austin Romine, the Yankees have always been pretty happy with his catching, but offensively, he knew he had to get a little bit more consistent. And so far this spring, he's hitting .273.
Yep, he's had a pretty good spring with the bat. And, you know, maybe the bat is not what you're looking for from a backup catcher. But Romine's added that to his arsenal this year, and he looks a lot better when he's up there with the wood. Here's Chris Parmelee, who last year spent some time with the Baltimore Orioles. Former #1 draft pick of the Minnesota Twins, hitting at .172 this spring, looking for his first run batted in. That pitch is low for a ball. Another thing to remember about Austin Romine, he's out of options. So the Yankees, if they send him down, would have to place him on waivers, and almost assuredly somebody would claim it.
It's a great story. Talk about perseverance. Almost, I think, his 9th or 10th year in the organization, right to the end of the rope. Still battling, still working, and trying to break through.
Outfield, around towards right field for Parmelee. The pitch is on the way, and it's swung on and missed. So far, both pitches have looked pretty good this afternoon. Nova for the Yankees, and Tillman for the Orioles. Orioles, Ivana Gallardo, Tillman, Miguel Gonzalez, Kevin Gausman, and Ubaldo Jimenez should be their 5 if Gausman returns from his shoulder injury. That pitch is outside for a ball, 2-2. One thing, it's an all right-handed rotation.
Tillman's always been kind of an unusual fit for Camden Yards in that he's a fly ball type pitcher, 4-seamer with life up in the zone, and good life today. 94 miles an hour on that last fastball.
Check it. The count is 3 balls and a strike. Pitch is fouled off to the left, and now the count is run full. Here's the projected rotation. Gallardo signed as a free agent. Miguel Gonzalez, who always seems to pitch well against the Yankees, has not pitched well this spring. Buck Showalter says we need him to step it up some. Ubaldo Jimenez and Kevin Gausman. Ackley's on the move. The pitch is outside, ball 4, and the Yankees will move a runner into scoring position. Ackley moves to second. Parmelee the first. There's 2 outs. And 2 on. And Yankee right fielder Chris Denorfia will step in, the former Chicago Cub from a year ago. A couple of runs batted in for Denorfia. He's shown a strong arm in the outfield. He threw a runner out at the plate in one of the games this spring from left field. Today he's the right fielder for the Yankees. In the dirt, good stop by Caleb Joseph, but it's ball 1.
Denorfia, a veteran right-handed bat, always been pretty decent against left-handed pitching. So at this point in his career, probably more of a platoon type guy as a utility outfielder.
A ball and a strike. Tillman last year, as Coney mentioned, was 11-11. That was a career high in losses. But he struggled against the American League East. He was 4-8 against the teams in the division. If you go back to 2013, he was a 16-game winner. So that's why the Orioles are counting on him big time. Check swing, and it's high and away.
You hear a lot of talk nowadays and some of the new metrics about spin rate coming out of a pitcher's hand. Tillman's always had that good spin rate. That's why he gets a lot of fly balls and pop-ups. 4-seam fastball guy, predominantly a fly ball pitcher, but also hard to square up in the zone, like Jim Palmer back in the day.
This ball is squared up, hit well in left field. On the move is Kim. He's not going to get it. This one is gone. A 3-run home run for Chris Denorfia, and the Yankees take a 3-0 lead. That's the Yankees' first hit of the game, and it's for the distance. Denorfia's first home run of the spring. He now has 5 runs batted in. A line drive over the wall in left center field.
See, the old saying is usually with pitchers, you got it up and you give up a home run. Just the opposite with Tillman. He got this one down a little too much. This one needed to be higher. You see that ball's down below the belt and not as much life as he gets when it's higher, and he paid the price.
Here's Cesar Puello, and he'll take a pitch high for a ball. Here's another look, Coney.
Right in Denorfia's wheelhouse, and that's what Denorfia can do. That's why he keeps getting chances.
Puello takes high, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. So the first hit of the game is a 3-run homer by Chris Denorfia. And the Yankees jump out in front 3-0. We said the Orioles have been struggling with their pitching this spring. Their ERA is 6.30. That's the worst in the Grapefruit League. Tillman has thrown 20. He's labored this inning. 24 pitches, 13 balls and 11 strikes. Two balls and a strike on Puello. Puello's had a home run and 3 runs batted in this spring, hitting an even .250. Out straight back to the screen. 2-2. You
can see, Kenny, as you mentioned earlier, the hitters are ready to go about this time. And now it's about stretching out the pitchers. And Tillman's a little behind the 8 ball. As we mentioned before, he's been hampered by a hip injury during the spring.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So he picks up 2 strikeouts, but 2 walks and a home run give the Yankees the lead. Denorfia jumps on this one almost right down the middle. This one's gone. It's 3-0 Yankees.
There's a
Smith Stadium, and we're going to go ahead and give you the team scouting report for the Baltimore Orioles, brought to you by Geico. And the number 1 is the power display. That's exactly what they're going for. All of their signings from Trumbo to Alvarez gives them a lot of pop in that lineup, including bringing this guy back, Chris Davis, who hit a bunch of them last year. And And then the key that we've talked about so far is keep them in the games. Get their pitching, just keep them in the games because they will score runs. And then the buck factor at the end. This is going to challenge Buck Showalter. He's done a great job in turning around the culture here in Baltimore. His record speaks for itself. He's been a winner wherever he's been, including back to his Yankee minor league days.
Hit on the ground to the right side. The shift is on. Gregorius has it. Throws on the first. And Davis is retired. One up, one down, and bring up Mark Trumbo. This is one of the players that David was talking about. The Orioles got Trumbo in a trade with the Seattle Mariners, and they're hoping he adds some right-handed power. And you're right, they're a powerful team. 4 years in a row they've hit over 200 home runs, and they should do that this year. Trumbo hit 22 home runs last year, and this spring he's hit 4, including 3 in the last 4 games. One of those was against the Yankees.
Well, you talk about ballparks that are built for their ball teams that are built for their ballparks. The Orioles are doubling down in the power department.
Trumbo hits a high fly ball to fairly deep right center field. Going back, his Puelo looks up, and this one's gone. Trumbo hits another. That's 4 in his last 5 games, and it's now a 3-1 ball game. His 5th home run of the spring.
This gives you an idea of the type of power. This ball is inside outed, almost muscled out of the ballpark. Usually fastballs on the inner half that are hit that far are pulled. Trumbo gives you an example of the type of power that he has.
Here's J.J. Hardy, who'll take a pitch for a call strike. Not much wind here today. We did have a powerful thunderstorm come through the Tampa area last night, about 1 in the morning. That pitch is outside for a ball. J.J. Hardy missed a lot of time last year with shoulder issues. This ball is hit down the left field line. It is curving foul. Hardy was injured last spring. He and Jonathan Scope collided on a ground ball, and Hardy came out second best. He had shoulder problems all season long. Rehabbed it, didn't have surgery, rehabbed it over the winter. He says he's fine, and he's having a decent spring. Pitch is low and away, ball 2.
Combine the 2013 and 2012 numbers and those double-digit home runs, along with good defense.
Bouncing ball to short. Nice Sunday hop for Gregorius, and he throws it over to first for out number 2. Here's another signing, free agent signing by the Orioles, Hyun-Soo Kim. They signed him out of the Korean baseball organization. He got off to a very slow start. I think he was 0 for 23. You can see he's raised his average up to 200. But he hasn't had an extra base hit in 40 at-bats. And he'll take one low and away for a ball. Good numbers over in Korea, 10 seasons, .318 hitter over there. And an on-base percentage over 40%. And this pitch is fouled back to the screen. Then it's a ball and a strike. The Orioles were hoping he'd bring that on-base ability to their lineup. That's one thing they needed. It was all hit or miss for them last year. That's a ball. A lot of solo shots.
Getting a lot more respect for the Korean Baseball League, which was kind of an afterthought for several years compared to Japan and the Japanese Professional League. Korean baseball getting a lot of looks and a lot of scouts nowadays.
Bouncing ball, and it's going to be cut off by Henley, throwing on the run, and that's it. But the Orioles get a run back. Mark Trumbo with a home run off Ivan Nova at the end of 2, 3-1.
Before the Cadillac ATS-V shook the
MLB.TV Premium, everything you have come to expect and more. New low price for 2016. Watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. To the third inning and back to the top of the order for the New York Yankees. Brett Gardner will lead it off. He'll be followed by Didi Gregorius and Starlin Castro. On our Audi scoreboard, 3-1. Yankees lead here in the third. Slow curve, and it drops in there for a call strike. That pitch is low for a ball. There is hitting coach Alan Cockrell, who was telling me before the game that he's happy with the way the guys are swinging the bat. He thinks Gardner, if he needs extra time, they can send him over to the minor league camp and he can hit all day over there just to catch up. Next pitch. That's low for a ball. Alan Cockrell has also come up with this device. It's called Swing Path Pro. And it attaches to a bat. And he showed me how it works the other day. It's good for youngsters to learn how to hit. And the actual path, how you swing the bat. As Gardner lays down the bunt. Going to be a tough play for Machado. He'll have no play. As Brett Gardner beats out a bunt single to get it started for the Yankees here in the third.
Beautiful. It's become more increasingly a big part of Brett Gardner's game, and that one is just executed to perfection. And Machado just knows it. He's going to just let it go and see how far Gardner's out of the box before Machado's even close to that baseball.
Yeah, he's hoping it'd roll foul, but no chance. That stayed on the grass portion of the infield.
That's as good as it gets right there. Gardner got it down and was gone.
So Gardner's at first, and here's Didi Gregorius, who was a strikeout victim in the first inning. He hits this one well to right field. Way back goes Trumbo. This one is off the wall. Gardner's the third. He'll be held up there. And Gregorius didn't miss a home run by much. Has a double. And the Yankees are in business here in the third inning.
Well, first pitch fastball. There it is. Inner half. Gregorius is ready for it. Let's see, once again, Tillman lives up in the zone, and that ball is below the belt. So when his fastball is down in the zone, it gets hammered.
There's Trumbo, played it well off the wall. That helped keep Gardner at third base. Second and third, nobody out. Here's Starlin Castro, who grounded out to Machado. That is Gregorius' third double of the spring. And Castro with a chance to drive in some runs here. Takes a pitch in the dirt, knocked down. So Swing Path Pro. And it's a good teaching tool for youngsters.
Sounds like straight out of a golf academy almost, you know, swing path and golf. There's a lot of parallels.
Well, actually, he does have a deal with IMG that they use it. IMG Academy, I think it's in Bradenton or Sarasota, one of the two. Ball is hit in the air to left field. Kim is there. Gardner's tagged up. He's coming home. Here comes the throw. It is cut off. Gardner scores, and it's now 4-1 Yankees. So give Castro his 10th run batted in on the spring as he drives in Gardner with a sacrifice fly. So Alan Cockrell, the hitting coach, and he'll be assisted by Marcus Thames, former Yankee.
Marcus Thames has done some great work in the minor leagues. Really paid dividends. He really earned his way to the big leagues. It's nice to see, you know, good hard work and a guy like that get rewarded back in the big leagues as a coach.
Headley grounded to second. He's got Gregorius at second with one out here. The Yankees have a run in. Nice stop by Caleb Joseph on a breaking ball. It's the Yankees 4, the Orioles 1. If you're just joining us, Chris Denorfia with a 3-run homer in the second inning for the Yankees, and here in the third, a sacrifice fly by Starlin Castro for the Yankees. 4 runs. The Orioles' run came on a solo home run by Mark Trumbo. Swing and a miss, and it's a ball and a strike. You know, David, we have talked about how injuries might shape what goes on in the American League East, and we talked about the health of the Yankees. That is not the case with several of the other teams in the division. There's a call strike, and it's 1-2. We mentioned Gossman's shoulder. Brian Mattis of the Orioles battling a bad back. And I think he's only appeared in 1 or 2 games. He's left-handed out of the Orioles bullpen. The 1-2 pitch, and it's in the dirt. Another good stop by Joseph. Eddie Rodriguez, the young left-handed starter for the Red Sox, has had knee issues this spring.
Yeah, the Rays lost their closer, Brad Boxberger. He's going to be out for a couple of months.
He's had surgery, abdominal surgery. So as we talked to Joe Girardi the other day in our game interview, and he kind of looking for wood to knock on. 2-2 the count on Headley. That's high, ball 3, full count. Joe looks on. His Yankees have a 4-1 lead. This is our only road telecast of the spring here in Sarasota. About an hour, maybe hour and 15 minutes south of Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. Pitch is foul. Looks like Machado might have a play over near the stands. No, he does not. And Headley at bat will continues.
You know, we showed Joe Girardi before. He's still got a lot of decisions to make, probably more in the bullpen. How are you going to fill out that bullpen, especially with Chapman suspended for the first month, the first 30 games under Major League Baseball's domestic violence policy?
Yeah, he and Brian Cashman, the Yankee GM, and the rest of the staff, some tough decisions. Payoff pitch is on the way, and Headley hits it hard into right field for a base hit. We'll see what happens here. Gregorius is rounding third. Trumbo up with the ball. Gregorius will score standing up, and it's 5-1 Yankees. Headley with an RBI single. The Yankees have scored twice here in the third inning.
The first baseman, the 29, Justin Ackley.
Another good sign from Headley, as you see Tillman trying to go away and leaves it down and in, and another low fastball that gets hammered. Headley, as most left-handed batters do on that low and in fastball, just get the barrel to the ball and find the hole.
His 4th run batted into the spring for the Yankee third baseman. Here's Dustin Ackley, who drew a walk and got it started for the Yankees last inning. He eventually scored on the 3-run home run by Denorfia. Little looper in the right field. It's going to drop in for a base hit. Headley turns at second, headed for third. Here's the throw by Trumbo, and Headley is out at third base. Mark Trumbo showing a strong arm in right field. Throws out Headley.
Well, it's a good chance by Headley. As you see, he gets a pretty good jump, gets a read on the ball, and he's going to challenge Trumbo. And with one out, it's a good chance that Trumbo just threw a seed right there. Perfect throw, one hop. And that's what it took to get Headley. As you see, the tag is right there.
When you're up, that's when you take chances. Yankees are up 5-1. Trumbo, who came up as a first baseman, will probably spend a lot of time in right field this year. Here's Corcoran, who struck out his first time, and he fouls one off to the left, strike 1. And when Trumbo came up with the Angels a few years back, he was a first baseman until the Angels signed Albert Pujols. Then Trumbo had to move around. He went to third base, then the outfield, then he was traded. Look out, and that got Corcoran. Just clipped his uniform, and he's headed to first base.
Get another look. Looks like it got the buttons on the uniform.
So Corporate none the worse for wear. Goes to first base. Ackley moves to second, and it'll bring up Chris Parmelee, who drew a walk in the second inning, and he too scored in front of the Denorfia home run. Denorfia is on deck. Swing and a miss, strike one.
And Chris Parmelee, probably the #1 backup first baseman that the Yankees have right now. Obviously, with Greg Bird's devastating injury that leaves him out for the season. But if you think about it, Dustin Ackley can play first, but if Mark Teixeira were to get injured, the Yankees would need a real first baseman to back him up, and Parmelee's the one choice in camp right now.
Ball and a strike. Did you ever play at Ed Smith Stadium during spring training? I have, and it wasn't this nice in those days. They've really done a nice job here to upgrade the stadium.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ballpark now.
Swing and a miss, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
I have to date myself, going back to the early '80s, playing in the minor league camp. Ed Smith Stadium. It wasn't one of our most favorite stops, but now it is.
Oh, there's the old Ed Smith. You can see the changes.
Did a great job with the architecture.
Yeah.
Sarasota-like, Mediterranean style. And Sarasota, a beautiful city down here on this side of Florida.
Little looper over towards short, and Hardy has it, and that'll do it. But the Yankees come up with 2 more runs here in the 3rd inning. At the end of 2.5, it's 5-1 Yankees. Season at Yankee Stadium are now on sale at Yankees.com and through Ticketmaster. Get your tickets today to see the Yankees take on the rest of the American League, as well as great interleague matchups against the Mets, Rockies, Giants, and Dodgers. And you don't want to miss the 70th annual Old Timers Day on Sunday, June 12th. To purchase tickets, visit Yankees.com or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. Bottom of the 3rd, Jonathan Scope, the Orioles second baseman, will lead it off against Ivan Novak. And Scope will take a call strike. On our Audi scoreboard, it is 5-1 Yankees. Scope having a very good spring, hitting .370 with 3 home runs. And he hits one into right field for a base hit. Leadoff single for Jonathan Scope here in the 3rd inning. Scope only appeared in 86 games last year, and he hit 15 homers. The Orioles expecting a lot more from this young man, young second baseman this year.
Yeah, if he starts doing more of that, he's going to be really dangerous. He's always been very quick on the inner half of the plate and kind of a pull hitter with power.
I think his only thing, he's very impatient, doesn't walk very often. Number 9 hitter is Caleb Joseph, the catcher. And that pitch is inside for a ball. Joseph did a lot of the catching last year in the absence of Matt Wieters, who was returning from Tommy John surgery. Now, the thing with Wieters this spring, they thought he'd be okay, but his elbow's barking again. And from what I understand, he will not play in any A games from this point on. That pitch is low for ball 2. Because if the Orioles have to backdate him on the DL to begin the season, they can start from spring training date. If he appears in an A game, they can't do that.
Yeah, Wieters, highly thought of, was extended a qualifying offer last year as a free agent and took it. One of the few players to accept the qualifying offer.
Ball 3, 3 balls and no strikes. And there's his resume. First round pick out of Georgia Tech, 3-time All-Star, 2 Gold Gloves, and the Tommy John surgery that we mentioned.
Also one of the few position players with Tommy John surgery. Usually you think of pitchers normally.
Pitch is in there for a strike, but while he was at Georgia Tech, not only was he an All-American catcher, he was their closer too. So he had some pitching. I don't know if that did it or not.
Wear and tear.
Yeah. 3-1 pitch from Nova on the way. Bouncer foul. The count is full at 3-2. But you're right about the qualifying offer is now up to $15.8 million offer. And I think from Wieters' standpoint, he's figuring he would have a good year this year and then go back out on the market. And for $15.8 million, that's not a bad deal.
You know, we've seen it work usually against the players and free agents who have that qualifying offer, and most teams don't want to give up a first-round draft choice in order to sign a free agent.
The runner goes. The 3-2 pitch is hit high and deep to left field. Gardner going back. This one's gone, and it's now a 5-3 ball game. Caleb Joseph's first home run of the spring looked like a high fastball, and he jumped on it with both feet.
Indeed, he did. As you see, Corcoran setting up away, and that ball ends up and middle in. And Joseph knew it immediately off the bat as he breaks down into his home run track. And a no-doubter here at Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota.
The ball is flying here today like it does at Camden Yards during the season. So Nova now with a 2-run lead. He's given up 3 hits, a single and 2 home runs. And now back to the top of the order, and Manny Machado, who grounded out to short his first time up. You know, Manny drove in 86 runs last year, hit 35 home runs. As he takes one outside for a ball. But you begin to wonder if he should be down further in the Oriole lineup. Manny has led off in the past. The Orioles are not a stolen base team. They only had 44 last year. That was last in the league. Ground ball hit hard to Gregorius. He's up with it. Strong arms at the first, and there's one out. They had 44 steals. Manny had 20 of them. So almost half the steals on the ball club went to Manny Machado. Maybe that's why he's leading off.
Yeah, a couple schools of thought. The old school, get him in a run-producing position in the lineup, and the new school, get him more at-bats at the top of the lineup. Over the course of a full season, the leadoff hitter will get an extra 50 or 60 at-bats.
Here's Pedro Alvarez. And you were speaking of the qualifying offer and the draft pick. That might have hurt Alvarez in the free agent market. Eventually, he signed with the Orioles for 1 year. That pitch is low ball 2. And to me, it kind of reminds me of what happened a few years ago when the Orioles signed Nelson Cruz to a 1-year deal for a low price. And he went on to lead the league in home runs. and then went to Seattle for a decent price. Line drive snared by Castro for out number 2. That's where the shift paid off. That was a rocket.
You know, Pedro Alvarez, the New York product, Horace Mann High School. And he's got that kind of power. As you see, that was a duck. Even as deep as he's playing, it's almost knock your glove off.
Horace Mann High School, and then went to Vanderbilt University. Here's Adam Jones. Jones struck out in the first inning. Nova has a couple of strikeouts. Jones chases a pitch out of the strike zone for strike 1.
And sometimes you see Adam Jones, he just gets into swing mode and starts swinging, guessing for a fastball, and you get a swing at a breaking ball like that every now and then.
He doesn't walk very often either. That pitch is outside for a ball. But he's productive. Five straight years, 25 or more home runs.
Yes, he doesn't always swing like that. Just when sometimes he's guessing. First pitch fastball.
Nova falls behind, 2 balls and a strike.
It's one of the things I always wanted to know as a pitcher is who were the guys that did that? Who were the first pitch fastball hitters? And certainly Adam Jones, one of the best in the league.
Got jammed, fouls it off at the plate. And the count levels off at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
See, one of the best I ever faced was Paul Molitor, a Hall of Famer. First pitch fastballs, boy, if you threw a strike or just as a pitcher, just let me get a little bit of the plate, let me try to get ahead, 0-1 here, boy, he just never missed those pitches.
He could take you deep, too.
A lot of times on that first pitch fastball.
2-2 pitch on the way, and it just missed, and the count runs full, 3-2.
You know, conversely, the guys who always take a first pitch, a guy like a Joe Mauer in Minnesota nowadays, rarely swings the first pitch.
Mark Teixeira, the same thing. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Nova got him. Second time he has struck out Adam Jones today, but Baltimore picks up 2 more runs on the home run by Joseph. It's a 5-3 game. The Nets face off with Paul George and the Pacers. That'll be in Brooklyn. Yes has you covered with all the action at Barclays Center starting at 5:30. Watch the Nets on Yes and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Speaking of basketball, somewhere under that bill of the cap is Dick Vitale. He's checking his phone as he's watched a lot of hoops lately. Here's Chris Denorfia. Had a 3-run homer in the second inning. His first home run of the spring, and he takes a fastball outside for ball 1. Denorfia, Puelo, and Gardner for the Yankees here in the 4th. The wind is starting to pick up. It's blowing out towards left field. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-1. And Tony, it's getting a little darker here, huh?
Yeah, it's moving in. You see the flags picking up.
Yeah.
Of course, those flags that half stats, for Joe Garagiola.
We should mention that our condolences to the Garagiola family. Former Yankee broadcaster and the broadcaster on the Game of the Week. He and Tony Kubek, a tremendous duo. And Joe passed away this week at 90 years old, and great friend of Yogi Berra. They grew up across the street from each other in St. Louis in the Hill District, and just he made baseball so much fun on Saturday afternoons.
So remarkable life, remarkable career. Called Mickey Mantle's 500th home run back in the 60s when he was a Yankee broadcaster.
And speaking of condolences, we send them along to Robin Moore, one of our colleagues here at Yes. Her dad, Scott Lawler, passed away yesterday. Lost his battle with cancer, so our condolences to Robin and her family. Full count now on Denorfia. And the payoff pitch. And it's popped foul over the Oriole dugout and out of play.
So hearing Joe Garagiola break down Thurman Munson's catching skills behind home plate as a Yankee, it's just remarkable. As a kid watching that.
Hall of Fame place. That is where Yogi Berra and Joe Garagiola grew up. And Baseball Hall of Fame, of course, Yogi, one of the greatest catchers of all time. And Joe Garagiola, Baseball Hall of Fame, Ford C. Frick Award. Little bouncer foul off the bat of Denorfia. So two tremendous baseball personalities from the Hill District, right across the street from each other in St. Louis. I bet you little did they know back then they were both headed for the Hall of Fame.
They both served their country too in the military.
You can see those flags now out in left center field being starched as this ball is fouled back to the left. Yeah, something is definitely coming this way. All you got to do is get it up in the air towards left. The 3-2 pitch, and it's ball 4 outside. A leadoff walk to Denorfia here in the 4th inning. So Tillman continues to struggle somewhat. That's his 3rd walk of the game. And Denorfia, well, he worked him over. A 9-pitch at bat, and still nobody out here in the 4th. Let's see if the Orioles get their bullpen going. Looks like there's some stirring going around down the right field line. Here's Cesar Puello, who struck out in the 2nd inning. Swing and a miss, strike 1. As you would expect, a very good crowd on hand. Saw a lot of Yankee fans before the game. As I mentioned, only about an hour drive from hour and a half maybe from Tampa. Ground ball, tough play. Machado can't handle it. The ball scoots into left field, and the Yankees have 2 on with nobody out here in the 4th. I believe that's going to be scored a base hit. A base hit for Puello puts runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out, and it'll bring up Brett Gardner.
Yeah, tremendous top spin off the bat. We've seen Machado make plays like this. He's very capable, but that one ate him up.
Here's Gardner. He was flat out and had a bunt single and scored. Let's see if he's thinking bunt here to move the runners along with nobody out. Machado's coming in on the grass at 3rd. Alvarez looks like he's moving in from 1st. Hit hard, and it's a line drive, double play as Alvarez steps on the bag to get Puello.
Well, if you're on the mound, this is a gift. Line drive right at the first baseman, 2 outs and 1 bullet. Thank you very much. Good swing for Brett Gardner.
That's what Alan Cockrell, the hitting coach, was talking about. Says timing's getting better. And from the Yankees and the Yankee fans, his timing might be right on time as the season approaches. Here's Gregorius, who struck out and then hit a booming double off the wall in right field and eventually scored last inning. And he'll take a pitch in there for a call strike. Yankees 5, Baltimore 3. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Under threatening skies here as the dark clouds begin to move in here at Ed Smith Stadium. Foul to the plate. Anytime you see that center field camera bobbing a little bit, that tells you how strong the wind is.
Yep, I hope those guys got the rain gear.
The rain gear, and I hope they got rocks in their pockets too.
The windshield wipers for the screen.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Gregorius is out of there. The Yankees will leave a runner. 3.5 have been played. It's 5-3 Yankees. By the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never know. And by Land Rover, above and beyond. Bottom of the 4th inning. As you see the dark clouds approaching at Smith Stadium. Chris Davis will lead it off, followed by Trumbo and Hardy here in the 4th inning. Davis grounded out to short, and he'll take a pitch outside, ball 1. The Yankees employed a shift. Davis, of course, led the major leagues in home runs last year with 47. As David Cohn told you, the Orioles re-signed him. He was a free agent, but it did cost him a lot of money. Nova out the mound will tag Davis for the out. I wonder if Buck Showalter likes his everyday first baseman diving like that, and $161 million man.
Yes, I agree with you, Kenny. I mean, spring training, okay.
You got him. Looked like he tagged him where his wallet goes.
Risk reward, exactly.
Here's Mark Trumbo, had a solo home run in the 2nd inning, his 5th of the spring, a drive over the wall in right center field. And he'll take a pitch in there for a call strike. Back in 2013 for the Angels, Trumbo hit 34 home runs and drove in 100 runs. Strike 2, 0-2. Good breaking ball from Nova.
Good pitch count, too. Just 50 pitches here.
In the dirt, a ball and 2 strikes. Meredith Morakovitz has more on Ivan Nova. Meredith.
Well, Kenny, although Ivan Nova hasn't been as sharp today as maybe he's been in some other starts this spring, Joe Girardi had nothing but praise for him earlier today when he was asked about the right-hander. Two things have stood out to him about Nova so far this spring. One, David, you mentioned the fact that he's incorporating that slider back into his arsenal. He feels as though that can be a pitch that will pay high dividends for him throughout the season. Also, he feels as though his curveball is much more consistent than it was a season ago. You know, he had trouble last year getting a feel for a lot of his pitches, but that curveball in particular was his bread and butter pitch that he just could not throw with any consistency after coming back from Tommy John surgery. So those two things left Joe Girardi very encouraged. But guys, this fifth starter spot still very much up for grabs.
Yeah, this might go right down to the wire. 3-2 pitch and just misses inside. It's a walk. First one handed out by Nova this afternoon. And this is how they've done this spring. CC Sabathia, of course, in competition with Nova. And both with, well, Nova's added a few strikeouts today. CC pitched last night in Tampa and did a pretty good job, didn't he?
Struck out 4. He also got 6 ground ball outs, and he said after the game one of the biggest differences for him was the fact that he changed the grip on his changeup. He went back to the same grip that he used towards the end of last season when he had a lot of success. For whatever reason, he didn't feel comfortable with that particular grip to start the season, but CC really looks at it as he's working on stuff on the mound. He feels healthy, and that's a big part of it for him. So he made a case for himself. But you heard Brian Cashman say last Saturday, the best pitcher, the guy that they feel the best about, and the results are going to matter in this.
Trumbo is on the move, and they're going to call a balk on Nova. And it looks as though John Hirschbeck is explaining to Nova what he did. I believe he didn't step off the rubber before turning.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a flinch, too, when he was yelled at to step off. A lot of times when a pitcher's not watching, you could see a little bit of a flinch here.
Yeah. Yeah, Trumbo took off a little early, made his move too soon.
See his legs sort of bent. There was a little bit of a flinch down before he stepped off the rubber.
If you step off the rubber, everything's fine. If you step off first. The count is 1-0 on Hardy. That pitch is in there for a strike. Now, Meredith, just a few moments ago, you showed me the weather app on your phone.
Well, if we were in Tampa or St. Petersburg, it wouldn't look great right now, but it seems as though it's a little bit north, so we might be okay here. We might get all 9 in.
All right. Might be a problem driving back, though.
It could be, if you're going back to Tampa.
Throw by Corcoran to second, and Trumbo gets back. No, I'm not going quite that far.
That fifth starter spot a little bit. Joe Girardi was pressed a little bit on when he needs to make a decision for this, and he said, I only need to make that decision by the 5th game in the season. In all seriousness, he would like a decision sooner rather than later. He was asked whether or not he wants that guy that is not in the rotation to get some reps out of the bullpen, and he said, no, they're both experienced pitchers. They'll find a way to figure it out when they're out there. That's not really a factor in it. But one thing that he did mention that kind of stuck with me, the fact that that 5th starter spot is not permanent. Just because you start the season in the rotation does not mean that you're going to remain there throughout the course of the season. You have to pitch and keep pitching to remain in it.
That's a great point, Meredith, and you get the sense that they won't be afraid to make changes, and we've seen the Yankees do over the last year or two, protecting Tanaka at the top, maybe not a 6-man rotation, but giving guys extra days whenever they can. You're going to need all the pitchers that you have, and I anticipate both Sabathia and Nova getting starts this year, among others, down in the minor leagues.
2-2 the count on J.J. Hardy, who is 0 for 1 on the afternoon. Runner at second with 1 out here in the 4th inning. Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I would anticipate a short leash on some of these starters as well. You know, that there's been some numbers on the Kansas City Royals and their success over the last couple of years, of course, winning the World Series last year. But everybody talks about the last 3 innings and comparing that to the Yankees in the last 3 innings once they get Chapman back. But it's really about the middle relief. The 4th, 5th, and 6th innings are so important nowadays. Managers have short leashes.
Ball's hit high in the air to left field. Gardner going back. The wind is carrying this one, and this one's gone. A home run, and it's a tie ball game. Well, we mentioned all you had to do is get it up in the air going towards left field. J.J. Hardy's second home run of the spring has tied this game at 5.
Well, you called it, Kenny. To just get it up in the air here today. This is like the Little League World Series. Fly balls will go out today. The wind is gushing out to left. Here at Ed Smith Stadium, it's just 366 in the power alley. Much shorter there where that home run ended up.
Here's Hyun-Suk Kim, who takes a pitch for a call strike. Kim grounded to third. Bouncing ball. Ackley has it. Steps on the bag. There's 2 down. We mentioned Hardy's second home run of the spring. Hit his first home run of the spring yesterday. So maybe he's starting to get locked in. 5-5 game.
I think middle relief is so important nowadays. You know, a lot of the general managers talk about the third time through the lineup for a starting pitcher being so important, and more we've seen, as you mentioned before, Kenny, the days of the complete games, the Jim Palmer days, it's actually going the other way.
David Cone days.
That third time through the order is the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. Those relievers almost just as important.
Scope with a swing and a miss, and it's a ball and a strike. Scope had a single and scored a run in front of Caleb Joseph's home run the last inning. So the Orioles have hit home runs in 3 straight innings off Ivan Nova, and it's a 5-5 game. This is what the Orioles do. They hit home runs. Swing and a miss.
I saw a great article the other day written by Jesse Spector from the Sporting News, and he did an analysis of the Royals and how many games they won when they led after the 4th inning. They were 10 games above average in terms of holding on to that lead and winning those games. And those are the middle relievers.
Scope strikes out to end the 4th, but we've played 4, and it's 5-5.
We needed a right-handed, bat to really help us out, and obviously he's been a shortstop for most of his career. So, transitioning to second base, I expect him to be, really, above-average second baseman. So he's going to help us on both sides, and he's a piece that I really feel like is going to help this team go farther.
That is Chase Headley, who's on deck. Speaking of the new Yankee second baseman, Starlin Castro, that's an RBI today. Sacrifice fly on our Cadillac scoreboard. It's 5-5. Yankees have a home run off the bat of Chris Denorfia. The Orioles have hit 3 home runs in the game. Look out. Swing and a miss and a bat toss. And a young fan, claims the bat. We'll see if she gets to keep it or not. She found out what pine tar is all about. Look at her hands, are all sticky. Well, she's going to get to keep it as Castro comes to the plate with a new moneymaker. Little did she know it's going to be bat day today. Pitch is on the way to Castro. Hits a ground ball, slowly hit towards short. Hardy on the move. The throw is wide, and Alvarez can't get it. And Castro's going to be safe at first base. We'll see how they score that. That's going to be an error on the throw. So Castro reaches on E6.
Castro almost looked like he was going to beat it anyway. He got down the line pretty well.
Buck Showalter to the mound. I believe this is going to be it for Chris Tillman. He's out of the ball game as the Orioles will go to their bullpen. We'll be back with the rest of the top of the 5th in just a moment.
Honda believes that your garage
a man on and nobody out here in the top of the 5th in a 5-5 game. The new pitcher, Zach Phillips. The Orioles just picked him up from the Cleveland organization. That's what he did last year. Orioles in need of left-handed pitching out of the bullpen with the injury to Brian Mattis. They pick up Phillips from Cleveland, and yesterday they got Edgar Olmos from the Chicago Cubs, another left-hander. Here's Headley, had an RBI single his last at bat. He's also grounded to second. So Castro on first, safe on the error by the shortstop Hardy. That's in the dirt. Good stop by Caleb Joseph on a play where I thought the first baseman Alvarez should have picked that. And Alvarez started out as a third baseman, was moved to first by the Pirates. But here with Baltimore, he can play third, first. And I think primarily he'll be a DH, though. Chris Davis mans first base most of the time. Here's the pitch, and it's low for a ball. 3 balls and no strikes on Headley. Looks down at Joe Espada, the third base coach, to see if he has the green light. I think Meredith, she might have a future in weather forecasting because The wind has died down. Bouncing ball. One hop to Manny Ramirez. To Scope. Strong arms at the first, and it's around the horn double play. 5-4-3.
Yeah, big, nice hop for Machado, and he wings it over there. Nice arm. Plenty of time for Scope to turn it.
Yeah, two strong arms there. Scope has a strong arm as well. Machado was part of 38 double plays last year. And winning his second Gold Glove. Here's Ackley, who's walked and singled. And he takes a pitch for a called strike.
I think you're going to see a lot of infielders that try to do that. Try to get the ball in double plays to either the shortstop or the second baseman sooner, because the daylight play is no longer in existence. They got to stay on the bag nowadays with the rule change at second base. The best way you do that is what Machado just did, and get it to him in a hurry with something on it.
Check swing, and Ackley went around too far. So what do you think? We should hook Meredith up with one of these local TV stations?
Hired, no doubt.
Sun's trying to peek through the clouds. Ackley takes low for a ball. Ball and 2 strikes. Off the outside corner, and it's 2-2. This is the time of spring where all clubs have their scouts out. In fact, they've been out all spring. They're looking at other ball clubs. GMs are telling them what we need. Things aren't working. Let's see if we can find help elsewhere. 2-2 pitch. It's fouled off by Ackley. So they check waiver wires, make deals. You see a lot of players to be named later.
Yes, you know, it's also the catching situation. A lot of teams out there looking for a backup catcher. The Yankees have a decision to make between Corcoran and Romine. Austin Romine's had a great spring. Remember a few years ago, that's how the Yankees got Chris Stewart and ended up optioning Francisco Cervelli to the minor leagues.
High fly ball towards left center field. On the move is Kim along with Adam Jones. It's going to be Jones. The Gold Glover takes it. And the Yankees go here in the top of the 5th inning. They play 4.5. It's a 5-5 game. Harder than it is now, and Joe Girardi, Yankee manager, has been kind enough to join us. And Joe, what did you think of Nova so far?
You know, he's gotten behind in some counts today, and it's probably been, you know, what's led to the home runs. And they've been on fastballs, and he's a guy that really needs to mix and throw strikes with his off speed.
Well, he's thrown first pitch strikes now to 7 of the 18 hitters that he's faced, so he's been behind, like you said. Bouncing ball.
Oh, don't do that.
I don't think he got it. Gregorius throws the first. Nice scoop by Ackley, and there's one out. I don't think Nova touched it, Joe.
No, I'm glad he didn't. And that's what you know, I know it's instinct, and you can tell him 1,000 times don't do it. But, I mean, if you're pitching, you're trying to get it out, and sometimes that's your reaction.
So we got the replay here, and it looks like he came up a little bit short. And Gregorius handled the rest, and so did Ackley, for that matter.
Yeah, that's a nice play by Dustin Ackley. Picking out of the dirt, and Didi, you know, he's got that strong arm, so good play all around.
Now, Joe, Gary Sanchez sent back to the minor leagues.
Yes.
How would you assess his spring?
Well, you know, we feel that you know, Romine and Corpy have just had a better spring, and you know, we know Sanchez's time is going to come, and we felt that it'd be better off sending him down, getting him going, getting him to where he needs to be, trying to finish him off, and let's see where we are in 3 or 4 months in what he's doing. And I'm not saying he's going to stay down that long. I don't, you know, whoever's the backup catcher might play great, but we felt that there's some things that he can work on. I did not think that he was overmatched in his at-bats, even though he didn't get a lot of hits. I thought he had great swings against Strasburg the other day in Washington, but he's still really young, and he's come a long way, and we look at him as an everyday catcher one day. So we just felt, let's go get him going, and we'll go from there.
Speaking of that, how unusual was it last year to go through the whole year with just 2 catchers?
Really unusual. I mean, that doesn't happen. I mean, usually you feel that, you know, unfortunately, a guy's going to go on the concussion DL at least for 7 days. But we were pretty fortunate last year that we were able to use 2 guys.
Nice breaking ball, swung on and missed by Machado. That's out number 2.
Yeah, Joe, I know you're probably spending a lot of time on your bullpen right now, trying to figure out who you're going to have down there. And the thought I had was, how much does matchups come into play? Are you looking for a certain number of lefties, or that second lefty that can be a specialist type guy, or are you just looking for the best relievers that you can to fill it out?
Well, the matchups come into play, you know, and they can come into play, you know, at parts of the season. You know, maybe you're facing a club that the next 3 or 4 clubs has a lot of left-handers, or the next 3 or 4 clubs that you're going to face has a lot of right-handers. That can come into play on what you want in your bullpen. So, yeah, we're looking for the 12 best arms, but we're going to look at matchups as well.
Is this going to be Nova's last inning?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's up around his pitch limit, and it's probably going to be about it for him.
Okay.
You know, Joe, I've talked about middle relief being so important in today's game. You know, a lot of managers look at that third time through the order nowadays, and you know, the 5th and the 6th innings can be just as important as the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. And you know, is that something that you look at for a starter? Or are you going to have a little more of a quick hook this year, especially with maybe the bottom of your rotation guys?
You know, that's been talked about a lot, Coney, and the point that I make that is you can't treat every starter as in that group. You know, some starters are going to be better than your middle guys that you put in the middle innings, or some guys may not be as effective, and you can match up. You know, I know if you do it as a rule, you're going to ask your bullpen to give you, I mean, let's just say a guy, this is the example I use. A guy goes 5 innings, gives up 2 hits and 1 walk. You're going to sign up for that. He's through the lineup twice now. Okay, so then you need 4 innings. So now you're talking about needing 640 innings from your bullpen. That's 7 guys giving you 90 innings apiece. That's pretty hard to do. You're going to kill your bullpen. So some of the guys got to give you more. You know, I think it's paying attention to the at-bats and how the hitters are seeing that pitcher that day, and you go from there. And when your guys are available, you use them. I know you wouldn't have reacted too well if we came to take you out after 5 and you give up 2 hits and 1 walk.
Yeah, I mean, towards the end of my career, I understood it more. You know, when I'm 39 years old. But you know, I know there's your horses at the top of the rotation.
Yes.
That you really need the 200 inning guys or 200 innings plus, and an occasional complete game, or nowadays a complete game's almost like 7 innings for a lot of starters. But nonetheless, I guess we can expect to see more of the Scranton shuttle then this year and maneuvering series to series. Well,
you might. I mean, it also depends on how those guys are throwing down there and how the guys are doing up here. If the guys are really doing the job here, you're not going to make changes. You know, we had to make a lot of changes last year because of some of the innings limits that we had with guys, and some of the games we got into. We got in that 18-inning game right away in April, and that destroyed our bullpen. So a lot of it has to do with that too. So I would recommend, if you're not in the big leagues, that you go down and pitch really well, because your time will come.
How about CeCe's outing last night? We weren't on Yes last night. We understand he did pretty well.
Yeah, he pitched much better last night. He gave up the 2 runs in 5 innings. Carlos lost the ball early on. It was really tough to see in the outfield early on in right field. I'm not sure he would have got it anyway, but I thought CeCe did a good job.
Ball is fouled off by Adam Jones here.
It looked like it was going to really rain. When the wind picked up, I don't know if you guys can see behind you and what it looks like now, but I was getting a little nervous.
Well, it looked like it was, Joe, but Meredith showed us her weather app on her phone, and it showed that the storm was actually north of here, and it looks like we're going to skate.
Oh, good. Thank God for apps, right?
Yeah, well, in the old days, they might have had the field covered already.
Well, in the old days, you stuck your head out the window and looked.
Yeah. Nova trying to polish off the Orioles here in the 5th inning. 5-5 game. Joe, as we look at the division, you got the Orioles, you got the Red Sox, you got the Rays, you got the Blue Jays. This is going to be very competitive this year when you think about it.
Yeah, I think you can look at the divisions in all of the American League, and they're going to be extremely competitive. And I think our division is going to be really tough.
Just outside. Is it going to be just a matter of health, who stays the healthiest?
It could be. We talked about that last year. It might come down to who stays the healthiest in the long run. And we got nicked up a little bit at the end last year with Evaldi and Tanaka, but we did a good job. Our guys did a good job of picking each other up. But
runners on the move, pitches ball inside, and now the count is full. Alvarez picks up a stolen base.
Alvarez is really our neighbor. I mean, he grew up right there in Washington Heights.
Yeah, he did. Went to Horace Mann. And then on to Vanderbilt. And reunited with Ryan Flaherty. They were roommates at college, Joe.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Think they'll be roommates now?
Most major leaguers have their own rooms. Ball 4 as Jones takes a walk. So 2 outs followed by 2 walks. That'll bring up Chris Davis here in the 5th inning.
See, now you got to stay with us a little longer, Joe. And I got a couple more for you. Okay, one quick one here. You happy with Ref Snyder with what you've seen at third base? You think he's potentially the answer as a utility guy?
I think he's coming along. He's going to get some more time. I think he's playing third tomorrow, and we're going to continue to look at it. I mean, it's not an easy transition to make, especially for a guy that was originally outfielder and went to second. We're trying to get him as comfortable as we can in this 6-week period, and then we'll make a decision.
Yeah, we got somebody warming up in the bullpen now. I'm not sure who it is.
See, one guy I've been impressed with for the last couple of years, Joe, is Brian Mitchell. And I know that can present a tempting problem. Do you keep him stretched out to AAA? But he's ready to help this team now. He's looked awfully good this spring.
Yeah, he has. And his last 2 outings have been really, really good. And he's going to get a start. I don't know if it's – I get my days mixed up. I don't know if it's tomorrow he's starting or if it's Monday. But he's getting a start. And, yeah, I mean, it seems like he's found his stuff. It seems like he got – I'm looking at Larry. It seems like that it was a little bit difficult for him last year going up and down and not sure when he was pitching. But he's been in a nice groove lately here in spring training. It's really good to see.
Johnny Barbados up in the bullpen.
Does that put him in contention for the 5th spot, or are you thinking more of just keeping him in the bullpen as a power reliever?
Well, we'll continue to look at that. You're looking at him as maybe filling an Adam Warren role, that sort of thing, where he is a guy that can do both and pitch some effective innings no matter where you pitch him. Because I think that guy is as important as any guy on your staff. That guy that can, maybe pick up your 7th and 8th inning guy when that guy, those 2 guys are down, or maybe give you 4 innings to keep a game close where the starter gets knocked out in the 3rd. A game like this where maybe he comes in the 4th. and gives you the 5th, 6th, and 7th until you can get to your back end guys. So we're looking at him as, you know, a starter, but maybe a transition guy too, where he can do a lot of different things for us.
Larry just giving Nova a breather here.
Yeah, I got to ask Larry if this is his last hitter. Let me take a second. So this will be his last hitter.
Okay.
Now that's real-time information. Right there.
Yeah.
That's as real as it gets.
Yeah, he did.
I thought he did.
Oh, come on, pay attention.
Anybody else, you know, of the young guys, including the guy that's warming up right now, Johnny Barbado?
He's been impressive in spring training. He's thrown the ball well. You know, he's got 3 pitches. He's got a fastball that's 95, a curveball and a slider, and he's done a really good job so far in spring training.
3-0 pitch is off the glove of Athlete. Nova to cover first. The throw, the ball gets away, and it looks like Alvarez is going to score, and Baltimore will take the lead as Jones goes to third. So Ackley couldn't handle it, the hot smash, and Nova had problems corralling the throw from Castro.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because he's behind in the count and he gets the ground ball, and you know he should be out of the inning and he's not. So you know that's one of the things that you know for Castro that he probably hasn't had a ton of experience at is usually when he's throwing across the diamond looking at a first baseman that's at the bag. Here you're throwing to a moving target, and you know it's something that as a catcher you have to do too. You have to remember to throw to the base. You can't throw to the moving target because if you do that, you're usually in trouble.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for being with us for this. This must be your longest stay with us this spring. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Be good.
All right. And we'll be back as the Yankees have made a pitching change here in the 5th inning. Orioles.
Honda believes that your garage is what you make it.
Minnesota, Baltimore leading the Yankees by a score of 6-5. The Orioles have made a pitching change. Carlos Corcoran will be facing Dylan Bundy, former #1 draft pick of the Orioles, and the first pitch is in there for a call strike. It's been an injury-plagued career thus far for Bundy. He's had Tommy John surgery. He's had some shoulder issues. It's up and in. A ball and a strike. He's out of options. He has to make the team.
Yeah, it's time to find out about Dylan Bundy. We've heard Buck Showalter talk about him for a few years now, and as Kenny said, a lot of injuries.
Swing and miss, 1-2.
Still a lot of potential though as well.
Yeah. Well, he's pitched well this spring, and the feeling is that he will be in the bullpen mix, and eventually the feeling is he might be starting for these Orioles. Another changeup, swing and miss, strike 3. Good off-speed pitches. Born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2011 first-round pick, 4th overall. Major League debut September 23rd. And the Orioles' #1 prospect, ranked by Baseball America. Here's Parmalee. Foul tipped into the glove of Joseph, strike 1.
Saw that first-round pick. He was 4th in the nation. Shows you what kind of talent he had at that particular point in time.
Throwing the ball well here today, strike 2. Shakes off a few sides. Now he's ready. Look out, up and in, a ball and 2 strikes. That'll get your attention. That used to be the norm back on an 0-2 count, and hitters used to expect being brushed back. Just off the outside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss, strike 3. First 2 batters to face Bundy strike out swinging.
He's shown a good third pitch here, as you see. The fastball right on by, but he's got a good changeup right previously to set up that fastball. So 3 really good pitches.
That'll put a smile on any manager's face. Here's Denorfia, and he takes a pitch for a call strike. Denorfia's homered and walked. He's 1 for 1. Hit a 3-run homer in the second inning, gave the Yankees an initial 3-0 lead. It is 6-5 Baltimore now here in the 6th inning. Doesn't look like he's afraid to move hitters off either.
Not at all. It's the second time he's come up and in hard.
Swing and a miss. Bundy's been impressive here in the top half of the 6th. Hit hard. 1 hopper to Scope at second. Straightens, throws, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Yankees here in the top of the 6th. On to the bottom of the 6th inning. Brennan Field in Tampa as our spring training coverage continues on Yes. And don't miss Yankees opening day Monday, April 4th, beginning at 11:30, right here on Yes, your home for Yankees baseball. J.J. Hardy leads it off for the Orioles in the 6th inning. He's grounded to short. He's also hit a 2-run homer. Johnny Barbado remains in the game, and this pitch is up and in for a ball. The numbers on Barbado for the spring: 10 strikeouts in 7 2/3 innings.
Yeah, we heard Joe Girardi talk about how impressed he's been.
Ball is popped high in the air. This looks like this is going to be back in the seats and out of play.
So a very good chance that number on his back there, number 83, will be changed, and he may be given a big league uniform. So he's got his hands around the throat of a big league job right now, and looking to finish.
You might want to keep that number. Yankees are running out of low numbers. Ball is popped up. Gregorius calls off Headley and will make the catch. And there's one down here in the 6th inning. Well, if you split those numbers, you got 8 Yogi Berra and 3 Babe Ruth. And Bill Dickey, also a Hall of Fame catcher, wore number 8.
Well, you get down to the last week of spring training and you've had a good spring and you know that you're being watched, that you've got a chance. Boy, that is an incredible feeling. I remember it well. And you know, with each out and with each good outing, that you've got a chance to make it. You've got a chance to really make this team and go north.
Yankees got him from San Diego for Sean Kelly. Here's Hyun-Soo Kim, who's 0 for 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Kim won a batting title in Korea. Had a good year in 08, hit .357. That's, if you don't lead, you'll be near the leaders. That's ball 3. 3 balls and no strikes. The Orioles are hoping that Kim can take over the left field position. The 3-0 pitch is in there for a call strike. Strike 2 call. He thought it was ball 4, but that hit the outside corner. I mentioned Kim had the solid on base percentage over in Korea, .406 for 10 years. But he's only walked 1 time this spring. And I think it's a combination of the pitchers want to see if you can hit this and how far you can hit it. All his hits this spring have been singles. Payoff pitch hit in the air to left field. Gardner has a beat on it. Puts it away for out number 2. Nice comeback from Barbado after falling behind 3 balls and no strikes. So 2 outs, nobody on. That'll bring up Jonathan Scope.
Looks like Joe Girardi said, the kid's got mid-90s fastball. Got a really good downer for a slider, too. Good depth to a slider.
There it is right there, and it's in there for a call strike. He's got a fastball, and he seems to know how to use it. Another breaking ball drops in for a strike. Good slider. Was it ZZ Top legs? Knows how to use it?
Yes, definitely.
The 0-2 pitch. Fastball upstairs. Scope wouldn't chase.
Very impressed with Corcoran behind the plate, too. Excellent catcher defensively. Gives a great target. Really works it.
Well, he's sitting right off the corner. It's either corner or nothing here. Swung on it, missed. Strike 3. Very impressive inning for Johnny Barbado as the Orioles go 1-2-3. It's into the 7th. Yankees down by 1. Puelo will lead it off for the Yankees, then back to the top of the order. Brett Gardner, and then Didi Gregorius facing Dylan Bundy, who set the Yankees down 1-2-3 in the 6th with a couple of strikeouts. Puelo tries to lay down a bunt, fouls it off. He had Machado back at third. Well, the lights have been turned on for a while here in Sarasota. It doesn't appear that we really need them right now. Puelo fouls it off, and the count quickly goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Fights another one off. The count remains 0-2. So, David, how would you assess Nova's outing today?
You know, you could see him coming along. His stuff was pretty good. Command, obviously, as Joe Girardi mentioned, is always an issue. But I like what I'm seeing in terms of his repertoire. He's really mixing it up. He's got the slider back into play.
This ball's hit well to left center field. Adam Jones on the run is not going to get it. This ball takes a couple of hops, hits the wall. Puelo's the second, and he's going to hold on there. So a leadoff double for Cesar Puelo, and he represents the tying run in scoring position.
Puelo's strong. We've seen that this spring with him. He's got some pop in his bat. Kind of beat Dylan Bundy to the spot right there on a fastball in.
So Puelo's at second. With a leadoff double will bring up Brett Gardner. Gardner's flied to center. Had a bunt single and scored, and also lined into a double play. Just outside for ball 1.
We didn't really see a lot of changeups from Ivan Nova today, which is a pitch I think he really needs to left-handed batters. We saw some good sliders. So it's nice to see him add that back into the mix.
There's a call strike, and it's 1-1. Didi Gregorius is scheduled to hit next, but it appears that his afternoon is over. Pete Cosma's in the on-deck circle. Ball's hit near to right field. Trumbo going back near the warning track. This one is off the wall. It gets over his head. Puelo had tagged up. He's going to be waved home. Here's a throw to the plate, and he is safe. And the game is tied at 6 on the triple by Brett Gardner. It looked like Trumbo had a false step and didn't play that very well in right field.
That's exactly right. You see Brett Gardner down and a little bit out in front of that as he goes down and kind of hooks that fly ball to right. Trumbo doesn't get a good jump. He's right there. There's a little bit of a hesitation, and we've seen all day long the balls, especially in the air here at Ed Smith Stadium, really carrying. Coelho's got to catch up because Gardner's right on his tail. But a catch up he does, and a belly flop in.
So the game is tied. Kozma to the plate hitting for Gregorius, and the Orioles bring the infield about halfway. First pitch from Bundy is inside for a ball. We got a pinch runner at third base for Gardner. It's like Dustin Fowler. No, it's Gamble. Ben Gamble. Excuse me. Ball is fouled off. A ball and a strike. Ben Gamble running at third base for Gardner.
It's a good day for Brett Gardner. Swung the bat well.
Yeah, he did.
And a nice bunt single, perfectly executed in the mix.
I'm thinking that ball he just hit might have been in the seats at Yankee Stadium. Kozma fouls one off. And it's a ball and 2 strikes. Nobody out. Yankees have the go-ahead run on third. Kozma's first at bat of the afternoon. While Gregorius is in there, he was 1 for 3 with a run scored. Had a double. Ball is popped up. Hardy drifting back onto the outfield grass. He puts it away. No advance. So Kozma does not get the runner home. And I'll bring up Ronald Torreyes, who will hit for Starlin Castro. Castro was 0 for 2 with an RBI on a sac fly. And that's what Torreyes did last year in the minors.
And Torreyes very versatile. Can play shortstop all over the infield.
Swings and fouls the first pitch off for strike 1. Yankees threatening to take the lead here in this 6-6 game. That pitch misses in. The throw to third. Gamble gets back. Hit on the ground and through for a base hit. Gamble scores and the Yankees take a 7-6 lead. Give Torreyes an RBI single. So the Yankees with a couple of runs on 3 hits here in the 7th. And yet another pinch hitter. It's going to be Rob Refsnyder hitting for Chase Headley.
See, the infield's in, and that is the difference between this being an out or an RBI single. You've seen the infield here at Ed Smith Stadium play pretty quick today.
Plays like a West Coast infield. And what I mean by that is that usually they're baked, or Texas infield.
Yes, hard and fast.
Refsnyder has a home run this spring. Outside for a ball. So as well as Bundy pitched in the 6th inning, he's getting knocked around a little bit here in the 7th. Here's a call strike.
Rob Refsnyder trying to find any way he can to break into this roster. after starting the playoff game last year at second base.
Torres is back.
You know, we talked to Joe Girardi, and I asked him pointedly about Rob Refsnyder. He was a little non-committal. You know, I mean, they like what they've seen. It's his first try at third base.
Look, a lot of these decisions are going to go right down to the wire. So with 10 days to go, you're still in play. Hit hard by Machado into left field for a base hit. Torres round second. He'll hold on there. A solid single to left field for Rob Refsnyder. That was a rocket. Yankees' fourth hit of the inning.
Well, this part of his game is definitely Major League ready. He has a very professional approach at home plate. And fastball down and in, and just jumps all over it. Very quick bat. You see his numbers last year, which earned him that starting nod at second base in that wild card game against Houston.
Now Joe Girardi empties his bench of another pinch hitter. Davison Romero will come up and hit for Dustin Ackley. 1 out and 2 on. Caleb Joseph has been very solid on pitches in the dirt today. Very good defensive catcher. And he's added some offense today with a home run. Call strike to Romero. Yankees with 2 runs here in the 7th. Now lead 7-6. That's a high pop-up. It's going to be Scope calling for it, and he puts it away for out number 2. The infield fly rule was in vogue. And another pinch hitter is going to be Eddie Rodriguez hitting for Chris Corcoran. I said Carlos Corcoran. Eddie Rodriguez with 2 on and 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Good fastball swung on and missed for strike 1.
It's that part of the spring training games where all the pinch hitting comes in. The starters rarely go 9 innings, even at this point in spring training.
They're getting close to doing it, though. Foul back just to our right. It's 0-2. The Oriole bullpen is busy as Bundy has labored here in the 7th. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. That'll do it for the Yankees in the 7th. But not before they get 2 runs on 4 hits and have taken the lead 7-6. and by your Tri-State Kia dealers. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more. Well, the fans on their feet here at Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota for the 7th inning stretch. The Yankees have made many changes on the field. We'll catch you up as we go along here, including a pitching change. It's going to be Nick Goody, who comes on here in the bottom of the 7th, taking over for Johnny Barbado, who was very impressive. Barbado faced 4 batters, retired all of them, and gives way to Nick Goody, who is in the mix, being the Yankee bullpen. Caleb Joseph is going to lead it off against Goody here in the 7th. Joseph has had 2 at-bats on our forward scoreboard. The Yankees have taken the lead with 2 runs in their half of the 7th, lead 7-6. Joseph had a 2-run homer in the 3rd. He also grounded to short, so the Baltimore catcher is 1 for 2. Lifts a high fly ball to right field. Denorfia is there. He makes the catch. I should say Jake Skoll, who's in right field now, makes the catch, and there's 1 out.
Third baseman, number 13, Manny Machado.
Well, in major leagues, you can see, as we call it, the kings of the hot corner. Some very good players at third base. Nolan Arenado last year, 42 homers, 130 runs batted in. Of course, Josh Donaldson, the MVP. And Manny Machado around Baltimore way, they'll tell you he's the best. You know, you go back to the days of George Brett and Mike Schmidt at the same time, third baseman.
Nettles, Greg Nettles.
He was next. That pitch is high to Machado.
You know, that's the thing. You saw those monster offensive numbers from all 3 of those third basemen, but they're all 3 pretty good defensive third basemen too. Certainly Machado and Arenado underrated defensively. We've seen him make some highlight reel plays defensively, so not just offense.
Machado 0 for 3 on the afternoon, takes a pitch for a called strike. I think third base in the Hall of Fame, that is the least represented position. You got Schmidt, Brooks Robinson, of course, a retired Oriole number there, number 5. We mentioned Brett, Eddie Matthews. This ball's hit well in left field. We've got a tie ball game when this lands. Manny Machado's 3rd home run of the spring. It's 7-7. And that's why Machado's a fan favorite in Baltimore. Orioles' 4th home run of the game.
Trying to come inside with a fastball, and on this guy, you better get it in there.
So 1 out and a run in, and it brings up Alvarez, who's 0 for 2 with a walk, and he'll take a pitch way upstairs for ball 1.
Just get the feeling that we haven't seen anywhere near the ceiling on Manny Machado's talent as of yet. He's just going to bust out one of these years and really show exactly what kind of player he can be.
Swing and a miss. 1-1 on Alvarez.
Part of that's not his fault. He came up so young, and then of course he had some injuries.
See, but when he came up very young, he had 1 year where he hit over 50 doubles, and I think I mentioned during the game in Baltimore that those doubles are going to start to turn into homers. Swing and a miss, strike 2. As he got more mature, got stronger, figured out what to look for in counts. And last year, over 30 home runs. I believe the second youngest Oriole ever to hit 30, Boog Powell, did it way back when. Ball inside, 2-2. Alvarez trying to claim that ball hit him. Buck Showalter out of the dugout to talk to Clint Fagan, the home plate umpire. They're going to look at the ball, see if they have any marks on it. Doesn't appear to be, as Buck is still talking it over with Fagan. And it looks like Alvarez's bat going to continue. He didn't do a good enough job selling it.
It's true too. And in spring training, you probably want to go ahead and hit anyway. It might have caught him on the spike.
Yeah, he saw a change of direction. Two-two pitch. Did he go around? No appeal. You're not going to get a call if you don't appeal. Full count now on Pedro Alvarez.
See, Alvarez is destined to end this at bat one way or another.
The payoff pitch. Ball 4. He draws a walk. So he's on with 1 out. And it'll bring up Adam Jones, who's got a no contact afternoon going. Struck out twice and drawn a walk. Jones has hit 3 home runs this spring for the Orioles. Foul tipped into the glove of Rodriguez, and it's strike 1. Adam Jones, widely regarded as one of the leaders in the Orioles team, along with Chris Davis, who's on deck. High chopper towards third. Ref Snyder has it. Goes to second for walk. On the first for the double play. Around the horn. But the Orioles tied up on a home run by Machado. Game just a few moments ago, our Meredith Marakovits had a chance to catch up with Yankees starting pitcher today, Ivan Nova.
Ivan, Joe Girardi said during the game that your fastball command just wasn't there today. Why do you think you struggled with that?
Yeah, I think that was the only pitch that I can command really well today, and I gave about a couple homers on that sinkers. That is kind of my thing, and I didn't complete the job today.
Can you take any positives out of today's outing?
Well, curveball was better. The cutter was better. Just fastball command wasn't there.
You had talked about earlier this spring about incorporating that slider back into your repertoire. What made you decide to do that?
Well, if you remember, in 2011, I was throwing it, and before I get hurt, I would start feeling pain or tightness in my ear, but I start throwing it, and I feel really good. I feel healthy, so I just bring it back.
Overall, how do you evaluate yourself this spring?
Well, today wasn't a good day. Last start wasn't, I guess, not that bad, but overall it has been good. I mean, only 2 games that I didn't pitch the way I'm supposed to pitch or I want to pitch, but it hasn't been good.
Do you feel like you've done enough to win a spot in that rotation?
Well, we have another time around, I think. We have another one, and let's see what happens. I'm confident I can pitch better than this, and next time out, I just got to do my job, and let's see what happens at the end.
Bob, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Send it back up to you guys.
Thank you very much, Meredith. And you heard Ivan Nova on his outing this afternoon. He wasn't, totally disappointed with it. But as Joe Girardi said, he didn't have command of his fastball. Leadoff walk here to Kyle Higashioka, who leads off against a new pitcher, Pedro Beato. And the go-ahead run is on with nobody out here in the 8th inning. 7-7 game.
I'll say this. At times, Nova looked really good. Some of his stuff and the movement on his pitches and that slider were very effective today. But overall command, as Joe Girardi said.
The hitter is Jake Skoll. And he'll take a pitch for a call strike. Orioles have made several changes. And we'll try and catch you up with those changes. It's 107 games, 2015 in the minor leagues. Got a chance to ride the bus from Tampa down here to Sarasota. Now he's in the ball game. There's a ball, 1-1. Swinging a miss on a breaking ball. Ball and 2 strikes. And David, as we look at the game today, 7-7, kind of wide open. This might be the type of game the Orioles get used to during the course of the year if their pitching doesn't improve. Ball's hit hard on the ground. It's through in the right field for a base hit. Higashioka will stop at second as the right fielder Dario Alvarez gets the ball back in. Let's take a look at some of Nova highlights today.
Yeah, this is sort of what we're talking about. And the wind was blowing out pretty hard today down here in Sarasota, but Nova came out, I thought, looking pretty good. A nice tight slider there, nasty sinker in. His stuff is good. There's the curveball. And then all of a sudden you make a mistake with the fastball. Mark Trumbo knows what to do with that. And then another fastball that's up and out over the plate that Joseph got him for, and then J.J. Hardy also the 3rd home run of the day. All fastballs that were kind of up and out over the plate that kind of missed the corners that he was shooting for.
2 on, nobody out. And the first pitch is high for a ball to Dustin Fowler. Or make that a strike to Fowler. He's in there for Puelo. Had a good afternoon. Went 2 for 3. A ball and a strike from Beato.
It's kind of a microcosm of Nova's career. A lot to like. Every time you watch Nova, you're impressed with some of his stuff, and then all of a sudden, there's just a little missing link there, a little extra, knack for pitching, for hitting corners, for hitting the spot when you need to.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. I think back to Nova's best year, 2011. He went 16-4. He went 12-0 in his final 16 starts, and during that stretch he won 8 consecutive starts. The Yankees would certainly like to see that for him this year. The 1-2 pitch. Fowler checks his swing, and he did not go, and it's 2-2. Yankees threatening to break the 7-7 tie here in the 8th inning. 2 on, nobody out. Once again, Joseph with a nice play. I don't think a ball is bounded away from him today.
He really established himself last year, as you said, when Matt Wieters was on the DL.
Bouncing ball. Beato has it. Straightens, throws. Gets the play at second. No play at first base. And the Yankees will have runners on the corners with 1 out. Beato almost threw that into center field. Nice play by Paul Janisch to come up with the throw.
Yeah, you get the ground ball you want. You're on the mound. You got a chance to get a double play. Good little backhand, but can't quite get his feet set. Doesn't give his infielder a chance to turn this. No chance at this point. Janis did a great job just at getting one, keeping his foot on the bag.
So first and third, one out, and Ben Gamble to the plate for his first at bat of the afternoon. A chance to put the Yankees in the lead. Beato deals, and it's in there for a call strike. Brett Gardner had a good afternoon as he's coming back from that bone bruise in the wrist. Gardner went 2 for 4 and also lined out. That is good news for Yankee fans. Pitch is hit on the ground. Going to be tough to turn to. Only one play. There's the out at first, and Gamble gets himself an RBI as Higashioka scores, and it's 8-7 Yankees. So the slow roller gets the job done.
The shortstop, number 27, Pete Smart.
Quickly, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. Pete Kozma for his second at bat. He popped up his first time. Runner at second and 2 outs. Yankees lead 8-7. And a breaking ball hangs high for ball 1. So the leadoff walk by Beato has come back to haunt him as Higashioka has come around to score. Ball 2 upstairs.
Pedro Beato, the one-time Met, was a top prospect. Really broke in with some fanfare and now finds himself as a non-roster invitee over here with Baltimore and trying to make a team and having a tough day so far.
Falls behind, 3 balls and no strikes. Fouled off. We told you there was a good crowd on hand today. As might have been swelled a bit by the Yankee fans coming down from the Tampa area. We understand a heavy rainstorm up there that way today. 8,350. It's the 9th sellout of the spring for the Orioles. So it appears that we're just far enough south to dodge the weather. In there for a call strike. The count is now full at 3-2.
Well, the American League East certainly is going to be very interesting to watch this year. I mean, every team has a shot legitimately to contend.
Payoff pitch, fouled back to the screen. One thing the Yankees are going to have to do, they had to play better against Toronto. They only won 6 of the 19 games last year against the Blue Jays. And basically that was the difference between them finishing first and second.
Yeah, that was quite a reversal as the Yankees had owned the Blue Jays for the better part of 20 years, really, in that year-to-year head-to-head competition.
3-2 pitch. Fouled off once again by Kozma. Stays alive. Trying to pick up another insurance run here. Yankees 8, Baltimore 7. A wide open scoring game. The Yankees have 11 hits. The Orioles have 6. Pitch is fouled back. Kozma hanging tough. Making Beato work here in the 8th. Our next game here on Yes will be Sunday afternoon. The Yankees will play the Twins at Steinbrenner Field. Easter Sunday. We hope you spend part of your day with us. Dave and I will be back along with Meredith. Ball is fouled off again by Cosmo. And here's the upcoming spring schedule. Sunday, we mentioned that game on Yes. Tuesday against the Pirates, and then Thursday against the St. Louis Cardinals. Those are our games at the remaining TV games. And of course, we'll all head north and get ready for the regular season. This has been a 9-pitch at bat for Cosmo. This one's going to stay in play. Popped up. It's going to be a collision, but Francisco Pena holds on as Tollison runs into him, but that's going to be the final out. So Tony's got a tough kid there. Francisco Pena. Tony Pena's son holds on, but it's the Yankees who are in the lead 8-7.
And during this event, you can get a great deal.
New pitcher for the Yankees is going to be James Pazos. He is a left-hander in the mix for the bullpen. Got good stuff. Kind of a herky-jerky delivery. And he will face Christian Walker. Before we go to Christian Walker to plate, we're going to go to Meredith Marakovitz. A few moments ago, talk to Brett Gardner.
Brett, you got off to a little bit of a late start this year. Do you feel like you are where you should be at this point in time?
I do. I feel good. First week or so, I was struggling to get my timing a little late. But the last couple of games against Strasburg and today against Tillman, I felt better at the plate and taking some good swings and still seeing some pitches, getting my timing down, and everything else feels good.
Joe had mentioned maybe sending you over to minor league camp to get consecutive at-bats. Do you feel like that's something you'll need to do, or do you feel okay on the course you're on right now?
I feel good. You know, I'm always up for getting more at-bats. You know, I think it always helps with your timing, especially this time of year. You get to see some different arms that you're not used to seeing, and a little different environment. So I think I'm supposed to play 3 in a row. I'm not sure if I'm playing tomorrow, but I think I'll play 3 in a row the first of next week. And everything feels good. The wrist is up to speed, and the legs feel good. So I'm excited about where I'm at.
You mentioned that wrist. Do you think about that at all anymore?
Not really. You know, I think I was a little tentative to start out just because I got kind of a late start with things. A little concerned with how it was going to feel, but you know, so far so good, and just keep with my routine and keep getting my work in, and ready for the season to start.
Have you changed anything about your routine because of that wrist?
No, not really. Other than my off-season routine, getting off to a late start with the beginning of spring training. But, for the most part, I can do whatever I want to do with it now. And so far, I'm very pleased with how it feels.
Brett, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Send it back up to you, Kenny.
Thank you very much, Meredith. Sounds like good news. Brett Gardner seems ready to go. Not really thinking about their wrist very much. And had a good day this afternoon. We mentioned he was 2 for 4, bunt single, had a booming double, an RBI, and 2 runs scored. Christian Walker fouls the ball back to the screen. The count is 3-2. James Pazos, you mentioned he's in the mix. You can see the ball. It's tough to pick up with all this movement that he has on the mound. Hard throwing left-hander.
So far this spring, 4 walks kind of jumps out at you, but it's limited duty, only 6 games.
Walker's had an excellent spring. 14 runs batted in. He's hit 4 home runs, 4 doubles, a triple, and 4 homers, and 14 runs batted in. Oriole prospect who had been a first baseman. Now they're using him more in the outfield. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on it, missed. Strike 3. He got him. Pazos showing a blazing fastball to strike out Walker.
Right fielder, number 12, Julio Alvarez.
So 1 down. Ooh. Selling fire.
Excellent life. Good catcher's mitt, too. The pop of the mitt.
Here's the right fielder, Dario Alvarez. Took over for Trumbo, and Pazos drops a breaking ball in first strike.
Pitchers, we used to call those brand new catcher's mitts, ego mitts. Make a louder sound and make you feel like you're throwing the ball a little harder than you really are.
Either that or good acoustics in this stadium. Ball and a strike. Lined, tough souvenir, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Looks like everybody's okay over there. You know, the old Kansas City bullpen. You could have the softest tosser down there. It sounded like Goose Gossage warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, it's like a cave.
Yeah. Pazos is ready with the 1-2 pitch. Swung on it, missed. Strike 3. He got it. So Alvarez is gone, and Pazos has been impressive. 2 up, 2 down on strikeouts, and to bring up the shortstop, Paul Yanish.
Pazos throwing a little slider there that stays down and away. Good depth to it. It went down fairly well. Looked like he was trying to get it down and in and left it down and away, but worked out just fine.
Yanish took over for Hardy, who had a home run and 3 at-bats. Yanish trying to make the club as a backup infielder. Line drive right at Romero, and that'll do it. Orioles go in order against Pazos. We're moving to the 9th inning. It's 8-7 Yankees. Top of the ninth inning, 8-7. The Yankees lead, and once again, Meredith Morakovitz in the Yankee clubhouse with an interview. Meredith.
Starlin, how easy do you think the transition has been for you? New team, new clubhouse, new organization.
Be good. Be good. So far, so good. You know, I feel really good, especially defense, hitting, and how the team is be with me and the other organization.
You mentioned hitting offensively. Do you typically get off to this type of a start in spring?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. You know, that's the feel that I'm looking for to start the season. And I feel really good. I think if you keep doing that, it's going to be a good year.
I talked to you before the spring about moving to second base, about getting the timing down with Didi Gregorius. How comfortable do you feel there at that position with him?
I feel really good, really good. You know, the best thing that we got communicated. We got a good relationship, and me and him talking a lot, you know, and I feel really good out there with him.
When you get to this point in time in the spring, do you get anxious to get this season underway, or do you feel like you still need another week of spring training?
No, I don't think so. I think we're ready. I think I feel like what I want, and ready to go. You're excited that the season start.
What are you most looking forward to this year?
You know, the first thing looking for is the team being good. You know what I mean? If the team is good, I think if first is the team and the second is healthy. If I'm healthy, I think I can help the team.
Starlin, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Send it back up to you guys.
Thank you very much, Meredith. Starlin Castro, who had an RBI today, drove in a one with a sacrifice fly in the third inning. He's had himself a very good spring. This is Rob Refsnyder. Had a base hit his only time up in the game. New pitcher for the Orioles is Oliver Drake. Orioles also have a new second baseman, Garbez Rosa, as this ball is drilled deep and foul. Rosa's at second. Ryan Flaherty moves from second to third. You wonder if Steve Tolleson was injured when running into Francisco Pena and had to come out of the ballgame.
Yeah, he definitely lost the battle. Looked like his ribs went right into Tony Pena's son's left shoulder.
Refsnyder fouls one off, and he's in the hole. No balls and 2 strikes. Yankees with a run last inning broke a 7-7 tie and now lead 8-7. Check swing. Did he go? No.
It's like you said, Kenny, this is the type of game that you're probably going to see a lot of Camden Yards this year, or that the Orioles play. And Yankees have almost doubled them up in hits. They have 11 hits. The Orioles just 6, but
4 of them have been home runs.
Yes.
Yeah. Seems that Refsnyder always puts on a representative at bat. He takes good swings. You can see why the Yankees like him. You know, now he's added third base to his defensive abilities after being an outfielder when he was signed, then moved to second, and now learning third. Fouls another pitch off.
Refsnyder's just a hitter. He's hit everywhere he's been, including in the College World Series. Was a College World Series hero playing for Arizona. It's always been the position, finding a place for him to play. You know, I've always thought the more positions you can play, the better off you are. A guy like Refsnyder.
Broken bat looper, and it's caught by the second baseman Rosa. Almost snuck that one into center field. There's 2 down.
I think the Yankees really thought that he could have been the answer at second base, and obviously that's not the case now with Castro in play. But Refsnyder fits the mold of a super utility guy. He's got outfield experience from college. Now you've got him, in the infield, second base, now third base. To me, that's the right track for him.
Also, it's not like you're putting in a weak bat when he gets in the lineup. Edison Romero is up. He's 0 for 1. Popped out, had a big swing and a miss right here against Drake. Drake is right over the top. An overhand pitcher. Changeup swung on and missed. Strike two, 1-2. Yankees trying to get away, head back to Tampa with a victory. This will be the last time these two teams meet in spring training. In the dirt, gets away from Francisco Pena. No harm, no foul. Count moves to 2-2.
Drake's style similar to a Yankees pitcher, Nick Rumbelow. Kind of right over the top with a four-seam fastball and a lampshade changeup. Kind of pull down on the lampshade.
Full count.
Really makes no sense because a lampshade is something that fits over a lamp.
Yeah, well, you're thinking window shade.
Window shade.
Yeah.
But for some reason that expression was always out there and it really made no sense. And I'm perpetuating it at this point.
But it's like you never heard the song Two Silhouettes on the Shade.
There you go.
Yeah. 3-2 pitch. And it's in the dirt, ball 4. Romero has drawn a 2-out walk. Eddie Rodriguez will get another chance. Rodriguez was a strikeout victim his first time. He was Dylan Bundy's third strikeout. Bouncing ball. Flaherty has it. Goes to Rosa for the force. And the Yankees will not do any damage here tonight, but they have the lead 8-7 as we go to the bottom of the ninth.
Come early in this game off of Chris Tillman. Chris Denorfia, the veteran right-handed batting outfielder, launches with a little help from the wind, but nonetheless a big 3-run blow on Chris Tillman, and he never recovered. And that leads us to the ninth right here, and that is Nick Rumbelow ready to try to close this out.
Yeah, he has a chance to pick up a save. This is what he's done this spring. 14 hits in 7 2/3 innings. That's a little high, but he should be pumped up to get the save here. First batter he's going to face is Nolan Raimold. Raimold has a chance to be one of the starting outfielders, particularly against left-handers. He's got some tools, runs well, good defender, bit of power. Rumbelow deals, and the first pitch is popped up. Let's see if it stays in play. Romero does not have a shot. It's over the Oriole dugout, and it's strike one.
Rumbelow is in relief of James Pazos, who had a nice day. 2 strikeouts, 1 scoreless. Johnny Barbado had a good day as well. 2 youngsters trying to make the team.
High in the air, fairly deep right field. Going back is the north. You're near the wall. Leaps. This one's gone. A home run, and we're tied at 8. Raimo's first home run of the spring ties the game at 8.
Yeah, Nolan Raimo definitely is a guy who can do this. That's what makes him valuable off the bench late in the game. This is what can happen. He's always had some pop in his bat. Other way too. Reaches out on a fastball up and out over the plate and drives it out of here the other way.
Here's Garabez Rosa, the second baseman, and he fouls one off. Orioles have hit 5 home runs in this game. This latest one ties the game at 8 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Swing and a miss by Rosa, strike 2. The fastball looked like it was up and out over the plate. I do see some extra pitchers down in the Yankee bullpen in case this game heads into extra innings. Little chopper towards short. Cosma charging, throws on the run. That's out number 1. Nice play by Pete Cosma at short. Right now it's quiet in the pen.
Those are the only guys that are happy about this right now, because there's somebody down there that might get a chance to pitch now. Those guys aren't happy about it. They're hungry. They got dinner plans.
Yeah, they're ready to hop on that bus and head back.
These guys are happy. Just that extra reliever that was brought on just as an extra today.
Ryan Flaherty, with his first at bat, takes a strike from Rumbelow. Flaherty is the Baltimore super utility player. He can play anywhere in the infield, and he can play outfield as well. Ball and a strike. And as I mentioned before, he and Pedro Alvarez were roommates at Vanderbilt. It must have been a pretty good ball club.
Well, Vanderbilt was really developed into a great program.
Yeah. Tim Corbin, the coach. Change-up misses. 2 balls and a strike. Yep. Looks like one more inning.
You know Buck wants to play one more.
Pitch is fouled off.
You know what they say? You know, there's no ties in baseball and spring training. Sometimes there are.
Yeah, the Yankees have 4 of them. The Orioles also with 4 ties this spring.
It really has to be mutually discussed. Hey, do you have enough pitching? Do you want to go one more inning? Really, you could see Buck. That's what Buck was doing. He was actually asking Joe Girardi, can we do it? Do you have enough? And usually you do. Usually there's an extra couple of guys down there that you bring from minor league camp.
The 3-2 pitch, and it's ball 4. Flaherty draws a 1-out walk.
That's how I got my major league debut in spring training. I was the extra minor league pitcher down there in 1 year.
So you rode the bus.
Rode the bus up. They called me over from minor league camp and said, you're backing up in the big league game today. You know, only in extra innings, and that's exactly how I got in. Was an extra inning game, just like this one, potentially this one.
Xavier Avery, the center fielder, batting now in the leadoff spot, and pitch misses for a ball.
The problem is that
Dick Hauser, with the late great Dick Hauser, was the manager of the Royals that year, and he came to me the minute I walked to the dugout to go in the game, and he said, "You throw the first pitch as hard as you can, right behind the guy's head."
Really?
Yes, in a spring training game, because Steve Balboni had gotten drilled a couple of times in that game, and Tony La Russa was the manager of the White Sox at that time, so they had been going back and forth all game long, and it was a spring training game. And Hauser had it by then. So that was my major league debut, was to try to throw a brushback pitch.
To dust somebody.
Dust somebody. My first debut pitch. I threw it up to the press box. That's how high I threw it, Kenny. I threw it all the way up to the press box. Game over. I got thrown out of the game.
Really?
No more pitchers. That was the end of the game. I threw one pitch up to the press box.
Back on the bus. Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Make that 3. 3 balls and no strikes on Avery.
True story.
What a way to break in.
Never forget Dick Hauser getting in my face, telling me to do that.
Well, he knew he had a gamer after it happened. There pitches in there for a strike, 3-1.
Yankee fans will remember Dick Hauser.
Yeah.
One of the great ones. The late, great Dick Hauser. Until last year, was the only manager to lead the Royals to a World Series championship.
Ball 4. Rumbelow with his second consecutive walk. As Larry Rothschild's going to go out to the mound. Well, with the new rules, pitching coaches have 30 seconds to get to the mound, say something to the pitcher. This should be short. Throw the ball over the plate. I wonder who has the clock. Oh, there it is. He has to depart. The clock is
Yep. That's going to be challenged.
Yeah, that's
during the regular season. It's going to be pushed.
It's going to be close. So Baltimore, with 2 men on and 1 man out, they have tied the score here in the 9th inning. The leadoff home run by Nolan Raimo. And here's Pedro Alvarez. He's lined out, he's struck out, and he's walked twice. Looked like Alvarez called time. Swing and a miss. The ball breaks away from Rodriguez, but no advance by the runners. Well, it's been a long afternoon. It's been the longest for Pedro Alvarez. He's the only starter who's still in the game. But you got to remember, he signed late. He's trying to catch up. So Buck Showalter trying to get him some extra at-bats to get him ready for the regular season. Popped in the air to center field. Dustin Fowler will make the catch for the second out. The runners do not advance.
Nice comeback from Rumbelow right there. Good changeup. Had Alvarez out in front.
Francisco Pena will get his first at bat of the afternoon. We mentioned the son of Tony Pena. And like his father, pretty good defensive catcher. Check swing, and that pitch misses for a ball. That got a rise out of the crowd, but it's a loud strike down the left field line, a foul ball. I wonder what Tony's thinking about right now.
It's got to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough one, is right. That pitch is high. In fact, the other day I asked him for a scouting report on Francisco. He didn't want to give it to me. He said, will you watch him play and let me know what you think? A lot of pride involved here. There's a pitch out of the zone. It's 3 balls and a strike on Francisco Pena. High pop up to the right side. And it's going to be Denorfia who makes the catch. I said Skoll who makes the catch, and that's it. We're tied at 8. We're going to the 10th. Days away. On Monday, April 4th, the Yankees begin their regular season in the Bronx. And yes, has you covered with all the excitement and pageantry from the stadium. Live on-site coverage begins with the Chevy pregame show at 11:30 a.m. Then watch the Bombers battle the Houston Astros. And it's right here on Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Today's game will conclude following the 10th inning.
Baltimore Orioles have a new pitcher in the ballgame. It's Stefan Crichton. And he's in here in the top half of the 10th inning. Kyle Higashioka will lead it off. Higashioka walked in the 8th inning in his only appearance and scored a run. So Crichton mostly out of the bullpen in 2015. One thing we do know, this will be the final inning. And Crichton's first pitch is in there for a strike. Win, lose, or draw. Line towards the right field corner, and this is going to be in there for a hit. Higashioka rounds first. He's on his way for second. The throw from Alvarez is cut off, and the Yankees have a leadoff double here in the 10th inning.
Looks like a little sinker down and out over the plate. Right down the line. Go down, dig it out.
Well, there's a saying after a leadoff double in baseball, get him over and then get him in. So the whole idea here is at least to get Higashioka over to third base. As Jake Skoll is a hitter, he had a base hit his first time. Takes a pitch outside for a ball. Pitch is fouled off to our left, and it's a ball and a strike. Call strike 2, 1-2. Just like plane rides during the regular season, bus rides are a lot more fun in the spring when you win a game. Line drive over third, in there for a base hit. Higashioka is being waved home. He's going to score, and the Yankees take a 9-8 lead. A double followed by a single. Still nobody out here in the 10th inning.
Turns into a nice day for Skoll here. He's already 1 for 1. A nice little fillet job right there. Just reach out, poke it to left. Pick up a ribby. 2 for 2.
The Yankees got him from Texas for cash. Line drive off the glove of the shortstop Giannis and into left field for a base hit. So Dustin Fowler. The Yankees have come out swinging here in the 10th inning.
Well, Dustin Fowler's a real prospect. He's been impressive this spring. Joe Girardi has talked about him in high regard. He's somebody to watch this year in the minor leagues.
And here comes Ben Gamel. Gamel had a good year last year at AAA. Hit an even 300. 14 triples, Coney.
Yeah, he's knocking on the door. He has worked his way under the 40-man roster, and it's certainly a guy who's contending and one injury away from getting significant time in the big leagues.
The Yankees trying to add on here to a 1-run lead. Line drive, it's going to fall for a base hit. And a runner held up. The throw to third is offline, and he'll be safe. So Skoll thought the ball was going to be caught by Reimold and started back towards second. And he's still able to make it to third. So the Yankees now have the bases loaded and nobody out.
Yes, you're taught to freeze right there. Stop right there. But you can see, as just out of your pitcher, that Skoll broke the wrong way. The first part's good. Halfway, get a read. That's the part that wasn't good, the false step. And then also the swimming motion to get to third and the belly flop. He's going to catch some heat from that from his teammates on the bus ride back home. And a mouthful of dirt.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Pitching coach Dave Wallace out to speak to Crichton. And it'll give Pete Kozma a chance with the bases loaded and nobody out here. Kozma's had a couple of at-bats. He's popped up and fouled out. But now he has a chance to do some damage here. And that first pitch is in there for a strike. So Crichton's come out of the bullpen here in the 10th. He's given up a double and 3 consecutive singles. Good stop by Francisco Pena. That'll even up the count at a ball and a strike.
You almost see Francisco Pena look over the dugout at his father, said, see, I got this.
You taught me well. There are the bases full of Yankees. Hit hard. This could be two. There's one on the first for the double play, but the Yankees pick up another run. 4-6-3 double play. Skoll will score, and it's now 10-8 Yankees. So the Yankees now have a runner at third and Fowler for Torres, who's 1 for 2. Ground ball towards short. Giannis to Alvarez, and that's going to do it. But the Yankees pick up 2 here in the top of the 10th. They can hold on. They'll come away with a victory.
Home soon. Aaron's to run.
So it's
And get behind-the-scenes access and exclusive interviews with Alex Rodriguez, CeCe Sabathia, and more as the Yankees prepare for opening day. Premiering tonight at 10. Follow Yankees encore of this game only on Yes. New pitcher for the Yankees is a left-hander. It's going to be Matt Tracy, who worked both as a starter and as a reliever last season. And he's got a chance to pick up a save and head back to Tampa. Young man from St. Louis, Missouri. 24th round pick, 2011 by the Yankees. He'll face Christian Walker, who hits a ground ball to third. Rev Snyder, long throw, and the ball gets away. And Walker's going to be safe on the throwing error. E5.
You can see that he backs up, got caught in between hops, and then from that point on, could have used a little help at first with the pick. Does not get it. It's one of the hardest throws for a third baseman. When you back up, you get caught flat-footed, and that's all arm strength.
Romero couldn't come up with a throw. Let's see if he had held on to it. He might have had him.
Kind of came off the bag and tried to pick it.
Darrell Alvarez takes a pitch for a strike. Alvarez has had one at bat, struck out swinging. Ground ball off of Rev Snyder. Throw to second is not in time, and he might be hurt. Well, we mentioned earlier that this infield here is pretty hard, and that took a tough hop. Another error, E5.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. You can see he's took it right off the face. Another hard hit ball, and you can see the top spin just eats him up, and no leather at all.
That is Stevie Donahue, the Yankees head athletic trainer, out there to check on. And Joe Girardi's going to want another player. They're going to take Ref Snyder out of the game. And we're going to have a new third baseman.
It's a tough shot. Scary moment for a minute. He looks like he's going to be okay. But yes, that is the hot corner at third.
New third baseman is going to be Dan Fiorito taking over at third.
Now third base number 88, Dan Fiorito.
So 2 on, nobody out. Back-to-back errors by Ref Snyder. Second one a tough one. And Paul Janisch is at the plate. He lined out to first. Was working on an 0 for 1 afternoon. I don't think they're going to go for a bunt here. You're not looking to tie the game, you're looking to win it. So first pitch is high for a ball.
Absolutely. This is the last inning, and the opportunity to swing the bat.
Yankees, of course, are looking for the double play. There's a pitch in there for a strike from Tracy. 1-1.
A scary moment there with Ref Snyder at third. All the talk about him trying to win a utility job here for the Yankees, and 2 tough plays at third.
Two balls and a strike. That one just missed, and it's 3-1. Yankees trying to shut the door on the Orioles' hopes here in the bottom of the 10th and holding to a 2-run lead at the moment. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So Baltimore has loaded the bases without the benefit of a hit. And I'll bring up Nolan Raimo, who tied the game in the 9th inning with a home run. Starts him with a hook, drops it in there for a call strike. Bases have Orioles at every perch. Hit in the air to center field, coming on is foul. He's going to have to play it on a hop. 1 run scores, and it's a 10-9 ball game. Raimo comes through again.
Trying to come in. Broken bat right back up the middle. See the look of Tracy on the mound. Just carry it a little bit further. He might have got it to the center fielder, but that is not the case. Now more work to do.
Here's Rosa, who grounded out to short his first time. Yankees bring the infield in. Trying to cut off that tying run at third. Ball is fouled off for strike 1. There's nobody out. The bases are loaded. Just missed a ball and a strike. Tracy jumps back ahead on the count, 1-2 on the foul ball.
tough spot for a pitcher. You thinking strikeout or ground ball?
2-2. It's like these old Dracula movies. Can't quite put him away.
Yeah.
Both pitching staffs. Two balls and 2 strikes on Rosa. Ground ball through the middle into center field for a base hit. 1 run will score. Here comes another. The throw to the plate, and the Orioles have won the game. Garabez Rosa with a walk-off, bases-loaded single, and Baltimore wins it by a score of 11-10. Wow. That kind of goes under the column of unbelievable. So Baltimore with 3 runs in the bottom of the 10th after the Yankees scored 2 in the top half of the inning. And Rosa singles through a drawn-in infield.
Well, that's all it took. Yes, enough good wood. Got it right by the diving second baseman. You can tell by the expression on Tracy's face. He knew that was it.
Let's take a look at the final totals from today's game. Final in 10 innings. Baltimore with 11 runs, 9 hits and an error. The Yankees 10 runs, 15 hits, 3 errors. Crichton the winner, Tracy the loser. Nova the starter for the Yankees. 5 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings. And Gardner had a good day. 2 for 4 with a triple and an RBI and a run. That'll do it for Ed Smith Stadium. Special thanks to producer Troy Benjamin, coordinating director Michael Cooney, Michael Webb, Woody Fryman, and our executive producer is Mr. John J. Filippelli. Join us again Sunday for Yankees baseball as the Bombers take on the Minnesota Twins at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, Florida. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. on the YES Network. Once again, the final score, the Orioles 11, the Yankees 10. For David Cohn and Meredith Marakovitz, I'm Ken Singleton saying so long, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.